That's it. We are live. Today is Sunday, the 18th of March, 2018. We're still waiting for Angel to join. On the panel so far today, we have, well, there's an empty seat at the moment, but that is Astral from Denmark. We've got Jay from America. We've got Matthew from America. And we've got Levkungfu from the UK. So hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Yo, yo,
hello,
yo.
hello.
Yo, yo.
When we were waiting to come on live, we were talking about things, and Matthew brought up the about the Mandela effect. So thought that maybe while we're waiting, we talk about that. Thoughts then, Matthew?
Yeah, sure. I've noticed I noticed a lot of this Mandela effect stuff coming around and everything. My own personal interpretation of the Mandela effect is how we're switching from, Pisces to Aquarius. And I believe that it's not a subtle switch, not such as a subtle switch as a lot of people thought it might have been, but more abrupt and more abrasive because a lot of things just clearly are not the same. Like, for instance, the stars do not twinkle like they used to when I was a kid. The sun is no longer a beautiful golden yellow. It's now a phosphorus white. Clouds are no longer these puffy little cotton balls in the sky. Now they stretch across the entire sky, or their lines are in weird patterns all the time. Men seem to be taking on the role of women, from the past a lot more, and women seem to be taking on the role of men a lot more. And there's just it's not just subtle small little changes. I believe that the age of Pisces, also known as the age of man or the age of materialism, just ended, and we're kind of we're switching into the age of Aquarius, the age of the female, or the age of spiritualism. So in that sense, I think that we're just at the beginning. It's going to get a lot rockier, a lot more different. There's going to be a lot more things noticeable to a lot of people, and a lot of things that I'm noticing just subtle here and there, but at the same time really abrupt compared to what I remember from the past. Kind of like the stars twinkling thing. I'm out here in Oregon. I can go way out into the mountains where there's absolutely no ambient light whatsoever, and the sky just, it's lit up like, the 4th of July, but the twinkling is missing. I remember that. I remember that when I was a kid. You look up, and I even remember I told the panel this a couple times, or maybe one or two times, but my very first thought that I could trace all of my outside thinking to is when I was a kid looking up at the stars. I noticed the twinkling, and I thought God was trying to talk to us using Morse code through the stars.
Yeah, you have.
That was my very first wild thought. So that and alone is proof to the fact that I remember the stars twinkling like that when I was a kid. Now, when you look up, you might see one or two of them with a small, like in and out shine, but I don't see the twinkle that looks like 1,000, people taking pictures in the heavens, millions of people taking pictures in the heavens constantly. Like, the sun is just white, and it's, I don't know, things are different. Even the seasons seem to be changing to me. Like, I remember during March time, it was beautiful and spring and amazing and everything. And out here in Oregon, the winters often last straight up through until April and May. It's weird. Lots of stuff is changing, on a big scale, not just on a small scale. I see a lot of people sticking to things like, Jiffy peanut butter was never Jiffy, it was always Jif and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, that's, people rebrand things all the time. All the time. They may say, oh, they never did, but they do all the time. Kind of like Straight Talk. They swear to God up and down that they never had, a certain service for a certain amount of money, and I told them they did, and they said they did it, and they said if I could prove it, I could have a free month, and I proved it because I still had an old card. It was $45 a month, absolutely unlimited everything. And they even had supervisors get on the phone and swear up and down that that's never happened. I was like, look, I caught you guys in a bold-faced lie. Like, no joke, shit, stuff like that. People rebrand all the time. Even the whole Nelson Mandela thing, where I remember him dying young, yet he died in 2003. That, the elites are known to have faked their deaths all the time. So I can't even get deep on that. But
about that, weren't we? The fact that over here in the UK, people here remember him dying. And then
Oh yeah, I
years
remember
later,
him being a part of Black History Month. Like here in America, even Jay probably knows. Growing up, there's Black History Month when you learn about Rosa Parks and you know, all these other, you know, African American you know, people that did great things. Nelson Mandela was among those guys back. I remember in, you know, 96, 97 during school when I would celebrate Black History Month, he would be one of the guys that we would talk about. You know, we would see things about him. He died in prison. You know. Then all of a sudden I find out he dies in 2013. You know, either he faked his death or some real crazy astronomical crap's going on. Go for it, Jay.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning Mr. Nelson Mandela. Now, what's up, chat room? Much love. We are flat. Love to the panel. So
We are dead.
Nelson Mandela was a Knights of Malta, and so was Desmond Tutu. Tutu is an anagram for Taurus, hence your King Tuts. These are the pharaohs of Taurus fields. They're into the sciences of defiances. Yeah, so your African American heroes. Research their Freemasonic connections. When you Google Nelson Mandela, you will see him with the Knights of Malta. Like what Matthew said, who are the ones who pretend to fake their deaths? It's always Freemasons. Charles Dion gave birth to transvestite. He was a French revolutionary who was booted out, and he came back as a woman and then made history. So they play these games. So I'm not surprised. Like, we have to know the Freemasonic symbols. I yield the floor.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I agree 100%. I'm curious, Jay, how well you are with etymology. What is your take on the word pharaoh? Since there was technically no pharaohs back in the day, they were known as kings, not pharaohs. So why is pharaoh a modern day word? Like, there's got to be something about that word itself.
This will blow your mind, and everyone listen carefully. It's about your body. You have a pharynx. Let me slow it down. You have a pharynx, right, in your body. Pharynx relates to the pharaoh, hence the pipe. The pipe would be the phallus, the obelisk, where with a rod or yod in Hebrew. Pharaoh means big house. Simple. Ro is house. Fa is big. To be pregnant, when you open your mouth, Avril, April means to open. So the pharaohs are opening the houses, or the constellations are known to be houses. And it gives birth to your Jehovah's Witnesses who knock on your door. Why? The sun goes from house to house, right? Constellation. So the pharaohs are just simply following the houses of astrology. Does that help you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. Your house where you live, that's your temple. The house that we have here, it's no different from a pharaoh being in whatever they were in, or
It's no
or
good
priestess.
either.
Sorry?
I said, and it's no good either. The houses we live in, all this stuff that we're doing, it's bad because our whole lives were completely ungrounded.
Can I show you all something about false flags and the Mandela effect? So I just looked up, okay, false flag. I'm going to show this in etymology to encourage people. So can we all see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see Taurus, you see false, you see flag. False flag is 2 Fs, so it's 2 bulls, but it's just very diverse. You have to be very research the words because they're using the bull all the time. The Raging Bull, Red Bull, it's the Chicago Bulls, and it's red. All this stuff is the real issue too. Like, and it's harder for people to actually decode why they're trying to pretend and show you this weird shit. It's to get into the subconscious brain so that we can't find out who we really are. So they're always creating confuse. Let's make an event. Let's stage something, a false flag.
That's got to
right?
be Zionist, because the age of the bull was the beginning of the age of the Jew, was it not? So that's got to be the Zionist.
Yes, you are right, my brother. And Zion is Ion, the people of iron. Hence your Iron Maiden rock band. Rock is to sir, is the bull. So your rock music is rocking you, right? Yeah, they're all connected, man. They're all very much connected. And, Mars.
I got a question for all this. Do you guys think that, and think about this for a sec, give it a second to rest, but do you guys think that all of this etymology, all of it, do you think it's not coincidence? Or I guess that could kind of be the right word for it. Could it be a great coincidence in the fact that destiny itself, the universe itself, is speaking to us by sneaking these things into our subconscious? That's why we name them what they name. Or do you think that they are purposely named that way by intelligent groups of people here on Earth that know exactly what they're doing? Or do you think that's kind of the universe's way of sneaking, kind of like our dreams? You know, we have that everybody has the ability to sense the future in a small way because your dreams will perfectly match up to however you're going to wake up, whether it be somebody yelling at you or an alarm going off or something like, you know, so everybody's got precog. Could it be the same thing right here, or do you think that it's like purposeful?
Hang on a second.
I
Lev,
believe it's
do you want to answer?
Good question.
Oh, sorry, a minute, Jay. Lev?
Yeah. I like what you said with that. It's kind of like sometimes it's like even later on in the day when you're having dreams and stuff and things seem to relate to it. It's like sometimes like the entire day seems kind of related to it in some way. So
with me, the dream part that freaks me out the most is when you're like dreaming and say you have an alarm set for, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning and your body is acclimated to that. So even if your alarm happens to not go off that time, you're going to wake up at 6 o'clock because that's just your internal, you know, the alarm's just an extra measure after so long. Well, all of a sudden you're dreaming and your dream normally follows perfectly and something in your dream occurs that matches that, you know, alarm. Whether you're in a band in the Super Bowl and all of a sudden you're the trumpet guy and your solo comes up and you start playing the trumpet, but all of a sudden you wake up and your alarm's going off. You know what I mean? Kind of equates the sounds. Well, all of a sudden you get a day that mixes up on you know, that you don't know about. Your mother comes to surprise you and she calls your name out from real life to wake you out of a dream. But for some reason, somehow your dream somehow acclimated that into your dream. Somebody starts calling your name in the dream or something matches that somehow, or over the loudspeakers or something. Like your dream somehow incorporated it perfectly, even though it was a completely random moment that's coming up in the future, not something predictable. So in a sense, all of us have like a small precog sense, you know, in those kind of ways. Some people can really dig into it by, you know, when you go to, you know, see, you know, sight, what do you call those people? Palm readers, stuff like that, claim they could see the future. I believe that stuff is true. Some people could tap into it, but I believe absolutely every single one of us has the ability. We just do it subconsciously. Now, my big question to equate that is, do you think the universe works the same way? Do you think it consciously does things on purpose, which we call miracles and stuff like that? And do you think it subconsciously does things in order for order to simply continue and exist?
I kind of think reality is conscious anyway.
So,
you know,
so it's almost like it knows.
It's part of it in that sense. Oh, what else did you say? Well, another part. I'll let somebody else.
Well, that'd be a good one to reach into, anyways. Reality is conscious.
Oh.
That's a good, curious way to put it.
Do you believe that you've got a higher conscience, higher self? Like
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like your higher self is kind of like.
Well, your higher conscious doesn't mean that's a supraconscious. That's just your higher conscious, which is your subconscious. Your subconscious is your higher conscious.
And like you've it's kind of like tackles the previous day's problems in your sleep, you know what I mean, sorting out those and stuff like, and then it kind of prepares you for the next day because it's a spiritual journey anyway. So to ignore the aspects of spirituality, it's
and then of course there's deja vu too.
Sorry.
Deja vu. Have you ever experienced that where you have a dream and then like 3-4 years later or something like that, the exact freaking same thing happens and it just blows your mind? Actually makes you stop and take a step back and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, this ain't right. Like it actually makes your brain jump a second. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's freaky. It's really freaky. I found when I was a teenager.
Like I said, I believe we all have the ability, all of us.
We do.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we've all got chakras, and I think the chakras are the key thing to it. It's just understanding your light body and everything in it, you know.
Chakras, the chakras, and all sorts of people have different names for it and stuff like that. But what you're talking about, the chakras, those are nerve clusters in your body. Your largest nerve clusters that are in your body, and that's a very important thing because. Think about it. A brain may be your absolute epicenter of your intelligence, but without the nerves that go throughout your entire body, the brain is useless because all it's doing, all it is at that point is just a container. So the nerve clusters, without those clusters that concentrate the most of your energy at specific times and specific frequencies, those are your chakra points. So you got to learn your nerve clusters and stuff like that. And you can actually, because all of us are different. You could go to the store and buy a poster that says, the human chakra points, learn it and stuff. But your human chakra points can be completely different because your biology is different from whatever that poster was, Whether that poster was just some random piece of crap thrown up or it was actually came off of like a 15,000-year-old Tibetan tapestry or something, you never know. But that still, in the end, was made off of somebody that's not you. You got to find your own clusters. That's why yoga and stuff like that, Kundalini and stuff like that, where you do the stretching and Tai Chi, where you follow the movement, stuff like that. It's very important because what they're doing is they're following their specific nerve clusters, their specific flow of energy within their body. You can notice all these Tai Chi masters of the past, they all have a different warrior dance, what they call it, but that warrior dance is them literally following their chi lines, their personal lines. That's why it's all different. You got to find your own. That's why it takes years and years and years and years. Maybe not so much anymore because we have technology, but back in the past, years and years.
Hi, Patricia.
Up,
Patricia's just joined us.
Hello,
Patricia.
Oi, Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
Can I chime in about the word of God and what I believe is happening with what you were talking about with etymology? So this is what I've come to understand recently, as above, so below. In my eyeball, I have what is called vitrea. It means glass-like. Now, if something like glass relates to my eyeball, if I'm a glass blower, what happens when you blow is that it bulges. You Google it, you see an eye bulb. You see the ball. So Krishna is known to be the breath. In the Bible, it does mention breath early. The God is the breath, the breather, because the sun is hot. And when I watch it, it's very yellow to me still when it's, no chemtrails. I'll watch it, and what is happening, in my opinion, is it's breathing, opening its mouth. Hummus means earth. The earth has a vibration. They're all talking. They're all making words. It's just that they're not speaking English or enunciating like we are. But that's what makes us unique from anything else. We have modulation. So just that acting of the breath and the vibration or the hum or the oming of the earth, etymology comes from that. It's atomic and it's very, it's more than one thing. I yield the floor.
Yeah, that kind of trips me out when you say it, kind of like that. I'm thinking in my mind, like the mouth part, where you exhale through the sun because the energy leaves the sun, and you inhale through the moon because the energy is pulled back to the moon because of the magnetic effect of it. So it's like you have two bodies that work in unison as one, like yin yang. That's just it tripped me out when you said it like that.
Yeah, and I do believe the moon has a cooling energy. I do think she has an opposing energy to the heat.
Oh, so I got this one for you, Dad.
Sorry?
I said I was getting into that earlier before we started our live chat, but I wasn't able to. But huh?
There's a little bit of rustling going on.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, is it my side, my end?
It might be. I don't know.
I think it's you, Matthew.
Yeah, it's my phone. It's the best I got. I'm out in the mountains.
That's all right. It's gone now. Carry on.
Oh, but the sun and the moon. What the reason why I said I don't think that it has that it doesn't project a coldness, a cold light to it. I believe like just like in the beginning, before light, before heat, before energy, it was dark, void, and cold, right? Well, I believe that those are the most primal, basic building blocks: is darkness, cold, and the absence of anything, just the absence of vibration. Well, when the sun comes around, it throws energy out into the atmosphere, permeates everything, exciting all the different molecules and everything, causing heat, causing life, causing, movement, basically. Then the moon comes around as a magnetic element, and instead of projecting a cold that cancels out what the sun did, what it does is it takes all of that energy back out of the atmosphere that the sun just filled it with, and it leaves behind what was naturally there in the first place, which is darkness and cold. So the dark and the cold is always there. It's always present, omnipresent, constantly. Whereas the light and the heat, that comes and that goes. Think of an oven, right? You fill the oven with a whole lot of heat, and then all of a sudden, if you take a vacuum and you stick that vacuum to that oven and you turn the heat source off, you can pump out all the heat. You can take it all away. And then you didn't pump any cold air in there, but what's left behind? Cold air, right? You didn't pump any of it in there though. You just took out the heat. So I think the moon kind of works in the same way. It doesn't actually pull the energy out of the air. It's a magnetic element. So it's just the absence of vibration, the absence of anything. So energy seeks its equilibrium. So naturally, all the energy in the air will seek to this magnetic element, and it'll all be just attracted to it and then left behind with, not with molecules that were once full of energy and vibrating that caused heat and light. Now they're no longer vibrating, full of energy. Now they're still and they're cold and there's darkness. That's just that was my take though. What I was going to talk about it earlier, but then something about Robert came up. No. What do you guys think? What do you think, Jay?
Oh, so say Astral. What do you think then? He hasn't said very much today.
Go ahead, Astral.
I'm listening. I'm good. What Matthew was on about before, and Lev. Oh, that's bad line. That. What's going on, Matthew?
Matthew, when you're not talking, mute for a bit because it's really bad.
I don't think it's me.
Poor Matthew.
I think you're good. Right, we can. Yeah, we're good now. What Matthew was saying before about, does the universe have a way of giving us? Is it trying to talk to us in a sense? I think it is. In all reality, when you look at it, I mean, there's just so much that we haven't figured out. But in a way, it's like definitely giving clues all the time. Take Fibonacci, for example. Too many things. Way too many coincidences, just like what's it called? Russian vids the other day. Too many coincidences. Is it a coincidence that the sun is 400 times further away than the moon is, and 400 times bigger? I mean, it just fits nicely over it, doesn't it? Sizes when we have an eclipse. Too much going on.
Yep.
I thought we decided that the eclipse wasn't the moon, though.
Well, I'll tell you this. For me, I'm seeing many signs. So I saw my name on a license plate again 2 days ago, and the numbers equaled to an herb called Dong Quai. I danced the ballet Don Quixote, and I have a friend with a fibroid problem. And this herb apparently is good for fibroids. And the car was red, and the number of the car related to Mars. Then I saw the same name, JHE, on the same post on Facebook repeatedly ever since I've been doing these presentations. So This is not a coincidence. I've done presentations about it. I'm filming. Some people do astrology. I'm actually living and seeing it for sure. You can manifest things. I believe there's a lot of metaphors that the universe works in. And this is one big one that I've come to understand about basketball, is that the 3-point shot, no one looks at the 3. 3 is a symbol of the Empress in tarot, the goddess. Very important to understand that. So when I'm shooting the ball, Zeus is known as Jupiter. It's simple. Zeus gave birth to Venus out of his head, quote unquote. Metaphors.
Explain to people why this is so important to you, all these connections.
Because when you make them, like what we're talking about, you will see a result. You will see signs. You will get numbers in your face, and the universe will tell you how to heal yourself and other people through numerology. Trust me. These are not fake. These gemstones I'm wearing are because I'm getting signs, and every time I add the numbers up, it tells me get this gemstone, get that herb. I ask no questions, and it always leads to something incredible. We're here to experience the ether. Ether is energy that is manipulated. You can manipulate it. You can shift your consciousness and other people around you. Hence, the martial artists, before they were physical, they could repel you without touching you, because their chi, their ether, their Taurus field, or their Red Bull, while they're poisoning us with astrology, it was balanced. Today, our Taurus fields are full of noise and, once again, chemtrails, Mandela affecting, mind controlling, not breaking the words down. This undoes mind control when you talk to the ether. So I've seen this, and that's how it's opened my world tremendously. Yeah. Can I expand upon the Jupiter thing?
It helps out.
May I finish the Jupiter
thought? Matthew? Well, no, Matthew was just gonna, because I think you're gonna change the subject. You are.
No.
Matthew, what were you saying?
I said I actually enjoy what Jay says. It helps me understand a lot more, and it helps my brain actually work.
Oh, there you go. You've got a compliment, Jay.
Oh, Matthew, man, it's great to have you back. The chemistry is great, all of you. So this is a very important discovery. I'm getting many downloads because I'm getting many goddess feminine signs. She rules the intelligence. It's not me. This is Ether and Venus. So Jupiter, out of the head of Zeus, Venus was born, or Athena. So now imagine the orb as a basketball, literally being spat out. Now, where did it go? This is going to blow your minds. Uranus means a ring. I put 2 and 2 together. 2 and 2, Taurus. The ring relates to, pardon me, anus. It's okay. Anus means ring, etymology. I'm going somewhere with this. Very simple. This is how Venus entered the earth, because Santos he said it was a mystery as to how Venus destroyed the earth, because we're supposed to be protected, but she made a Milky Way and she ripped that sucker. She went through Uranus. It means the heavens. It's very cute. So what Jupiter did, spat out this fiery goddess, and then it went through the ring of Uranus. Hence your basketball, your 3-point shot is the Empress. So when these men are shooting, they're Jupiter, ejaculating or expressing. It's not sexual only, expressing an energy, right? And it passes through rings, and the ball goes down. How many games we have where a ball goes in a bucket or in a circle, or it has to go into curling? There's always a ring. The Bible, rings within rings. So this means many things about our dome. It could be a breast with a nipple. It could be a butt cheek, metaphorically, with an opening. Ha, ha, ha. It's okay. And it can be a dome. All those things metaphorically. When you break those things down, you're going to start seeing signs like you wouldn't believe, because these are rare connections to make in a world full of McDonald's and Hollywood. I yield the floor.
Didn't yield the floor?
What if these windows and stuff like that were not so much on our plane? What if they were interdimensional type? Like, I hate saying it like that because it makes it sound really sci-fi, but Like when I think of the very beginning of the Bible where it says in the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters, the way that I look at that, because the Spirit of God is anywhere and everywhere all at the same time and whatnot. But if it hovered over the face of the waters, I see that as in on a different plane, kind of like the astral plane is right here with us while we're here. It's the same thing as us and everything, but it's not seen because it's on a different vibration. That's kind of how I see that, when the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the face of the waters, it said that because it was in a different dimension. It was right on the waters. And it technically, if it met the same vibration, it would be within the waters. But since it was just out of vibration and it didn't have to interact with the waters, it was upon the face of it. You know what I mean? So what if it was the same thing like with these portals? If these portals, if the Earth actually didn't have any kind of definitive shape at all, what if it really was just realm? As Nikola Tesla put it, as many other people put it, Earth is not a, planet, it's not a shape, it's not anything, it's a realm. I mean, it's flat. You could tell that it's flat because of the physics behind it, water and everything, and that we're not moving because of how the heavens work and everything. But the fact that it is, there's no actual shape to it. There's no circle or square, any of this. Those are just the geometric shapes of the universe in which the laws of this realm follow. So these windows of the heaven that open up, what if it's talking about just the same thing? The face of the waters, and now we're within that realm of, where God, really is the realm of light and everything, and then the waters all around. So if those doors, these phantom doors, open up, all of a sudden what's going to come out of those phantom doors? What was God hovering over the face of when he started creating everything? The waters. So all of a sudden, this door from where God was hovering and this door from where the water was, that lapses, and we're within where God was, and then the doors open, so now the water comes. Just a thought of, how some of that stuff, corresponds to how I see it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it could be many things. I mean, it's hard to really know, but I know that the Earth in geometry is the cube, the dice board, or December. Important one to know, because now you have a freezer, an ice box in old days. Yeah. So I do think the Earth is a specific shape, because when you look at the terms, like, once again, I'm into the base and the ball. Base means flat. Ball means a dome. Ballroom dancing. Ball means dome. Room means flat in etymology, right? So there's something happening with the Earth in terms of how it's placed as a foundation or a parallel place. So I believe the Earth is a tray. Hence, in the original Superman, remember the bad guys got sent away in a little square thing? It's a very old Superman, and the bad people from his planet, they were sent.
To the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, they're telling you something. The science fiction comes from Cyclops. Psyops is Saturn. It's the same god, Saint Nimrod. They know this energy. They're using entertainment to perform Nimrod or Saturn. Now, I'll also tell you something else, Matthew, and everyone else, that I find interesting, and your thoughts on it. In terms of our DNA, this is pretty cool. So when you look at your DNA, you see these little whips, but if the middle, it's a square or like a rectangle. It's very clear the body of the DNA is a square or a flat tray. So what I am thinking in my brain is that the spiraling are those serpents, are the Venus, the Venetian pentagramming that she does around the Earth. Yeah, go ahead.
You're breaking up all the time. Everyone's breaking up. Is it just me, or is everyone breaking up? Matthew was breaking up in the mountains, and
yeah, I
don't know.
It sounds all right to me.
Everyone's you're fine, Karen, but everyone else is breaking up.
Really?
Log off and log on again, guys.
I can hear
just
Jay
put on a pair of headphones. I'm hoping that this actually sounds or works better. Is it working?
Have you been hearing me okay, Karen?
Yeah.
Matthew?
Yeah, I have.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it breaks up. Okay. I don't know if they are going to jump out, but it seems to have come back in for a bit. So it's not breaking.
I just put on a new pair of headphones. It could have been mine. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'll tell you this. I do believe that Earth has a certain shape that is required to make the actual spirals in your DNA. That's all serpentine energy. And the Earth is a very stationary, supportive symbol. It has to be, because if it was something else, then in geometry, it wouldn't be the cube. It wouldn't be this thing. So there's a lot to that. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess for me, if anything, like based off of my science, like not my science, but through my research science, you know, I've finally given it a name, by the way, guys. I finally coined a name for my big grand unified theory of everything.
Go for
it the magneto-electrolux theory. Magneto-electrolux. And I say that instead of electromagnetic, I think it's more magneto-electric. And I say that because if you really examine my theory, when I say if there's a perturbation in the ether, then that perturbation causes a point of inertia, and energy seeks its equilibrium. So it seeks that point of inertia, causing vorticity, and that vorticity returns in upon itself, creating a torus. And then that torus creates a field around it, creating a secondary torus, which creates the hyperboloid. And then in between that hyperboloid, because of the forced energies from two sides, creates a plane of elemental material. But all of that begins from the perturbation in the ether creates the point of inertia. You know, so that point of inertia right there is the magnetism, the stillness. You know, you got energy everywhere. All of a sudden in that energy, just like, you know, a pond, everything's perfectly fine, dielectric, nothing's going on, everything's beautiful. And then all of a sudden you throw a rock in it and it's just like the water explodes. But then what happens to all the bubbles from outside? They collapse back in on its point of inertia, the point of entry. Same kind of purpose. So that's why I decided to reround my idealism towards magneto-electric rather than electromagnetic.
Beautiful, man. May I share something quickly with all of you about the ether? So I'm going to share I'm going to show evidence of the ether. I'm going to show what I believe. This is how astrology works. I'm going to go to my Facebook page quickly and share the screen here. So can we all see my Facebook page?
Oh, sorry. Just waiting for that's it there now.
Sorry, you can see it?
We
okay, pardon me. So this individual here, all right, his name is EH, you see that, and then J, and I showed them a license plate with EJH664, and the person said, oh, dude, that's fabulous. Well, let's scroll down and see how many JHs. Now, another name, JHINELL, and Boggy. My friend used to call me J Boogie. No joke. Now, it's going to blow your mind. Another JE, and then that's H. This is a Russian or, pardon me, I'm not sure what, it might be Ukrainian. However, the letters are JEH. Now, if you want to know how to do the ether thing and the whole Wicca stuff and the spiritual, all you do is this. When you get a sign like this, you go to numerology, you go to your letters, and you add them together. You go to angelnumbers.com, and then you will see your astrological sign. You'll see herbs. You'll see the Empress. Something will show up. I've been seeing my name, JHC. That is not a coincidence. And that whole page, it just kept expanding. And I kept going to the angel numbers and buying things based on, not me, the work. Sorry, I yield the floor. Matthew? Sorry.
Oh, the yield before is always so sudden. Matthew.
Is he okay? Okay. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, I saw you vibrating. No, so I'm just saying this. Like, there's something about putting words together. When you put letters together, like my mom didn't know that JHE would equal 4 and 1 would be 5. Now I'm teaching the 5 elements. She didn't know that. I didn't know that shit. 5 means pent, right? I was born May 14th, 4 and 1. She didn't know that, but she does. She's psychic. She doesn't know she's psychic. We're all psychic. Nothing is a coincidence. How is it those numbers show up? Then my name years later, when I wake up, appears to me only, and I shit you not, pardon my language, it only shows up when I do astrological work. I'm not kidding. Just from doing that, typing and sharing a post, it's called the Ethernet. The universe is brilliant. She's adapted to every time period. So it would make sense that our real weapon is not the gun, it's your phone, it's your research. Although I want to hold on to my weapons today because they're trying to take them away. We know why. But research, just do something, walk barefoot on the earth. I do that. I don't even think about it. I'm not a guru. I didn't go to India. I didn't go to Cairo. I didn't go to Samaria. I don't have a high priest. I've become one because being a priest means that you're with nature. That's it. Really. Yeah. I don't want to hog the mic. Kung Fu, Astral, anyone else? Patricia, let's go. Talk to me. Have y'all had any experiences like that? Like, have you seen any signs in your life? I'm sure y'all have seen something.
Yeah, I have too.
Go ahead,
The
share.
deja vu thing. Well, just the deja vu thing. I just, what they said to me, I saw it in my brain. I knew what they were at with it.
Of course.
I've had experiences like that. Yeah.
Pretty.
What about more physical?
What's that got to do with the astral?
What you say?
What about more
What's that
physical?
got to do with it?
Yeah, what has it got to do with it? I'm thirsty.
Do you want to chime in?
Sorry? Everyone's breaking up. You're breaking up, you're breaking up. Can't hold it, she's breaking up.
I think it's you, Astral. You're breaking up, man.
Probably am, yeah. What's going on?
I'm getting the same problem as Astral a bit.
Yeah.
So Kung Fu, I know Kung Fu, you suffered something very intense, man. So I know you've experienced a lot. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that for sure.
On like seeing numbers and stuff like you see like 111 and stuff like that kind of thing, and you know, I mean, it's happened a lot, you know, in points in my life and stuff, but I've never figured it out. You know, I mean, I've noticed it sometimes, but I've never figured out what relevance it had. You know what I mean, and stuff like. But and my name, I've not really seen my name in many places. You know, Lev or Levon or whatever and stuff and everything, but so no, I don't know. More like, you know, like the deja vu type of things and stuff like that. I don't like when I was a teenager, I used to get loads of it. It used to happen all the time. You know what I mean? Like quite a lot of the day, every day and stuff and everything like. There was another point in my life where it seemed to happen a lot. Like every now and again, every few years or something like that, it'd happen. You know, for a few days or whatever and stuff. And they mentioned it's like, you know, like a lot of people like are supposed to have spiritual experiences when they're a teenager and stuff. That's your most potential time to get a spiritual experience. And it's kind of like you're going through puberty and you're growing up and stuff like that. And your pineal gland must be like flourishing, you know, but you're using fluoride and that's kind of counteracting it. So once you get older and it stops to flourish, it starts to work and it gets to calcify and stuff like that, which, you know, that's probably causing a lot of problems and stuff like.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, man. Do you feel like now I'm gonna chime in on that point. It's a very good point. Do you feel that when did you make any changes in your diet or ways of thinking? And when you did do that Kung Fu, did that come back to you, that sort of childlike deja vu energy? Or are you still are you struggling to see it?
Since I got ill, you mean?
Yes, sir.
I used to eat really well, quite balanced and stuff like that, everything like that. But you know, I wanted to put salad onto my sandwiches as well, and all that stuff kind of thing like. I would always keep him fit and stuff. But once I got ill, it will like losing your conscience, like your spiritual aspect of yourself was suddenly missing. So you've only got the body and the brain, but the brain didn't even function properly. So it's like I couldn't remember who I were and all those kind of things and stuff like. And I just feel like I was disconnected to my chakras or whatever and stuff kind of thing. Everything that makes you and stuff like that. So I don't know. After a few years, that's when I started to, question it. You know what I mean? Like, no, I weren't capable of thinking about it and stuff like that for a while. But I don't know. There's so much thinking, you know what I mean, throughout the time and stuff like. I've like, in spiritual terms and stuff like that. I've tried to continue my writing in that kind of same sense and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I'm going off a tangent now. We need to get back on track a bit.
You know what I'm thinking now?
It's easy for
me
to forget what I'm saying as well. I like
you're
get
fine.
involved in
You're
it and like forgets about the other.
That's cool. That's cool.
Great.
But you know what's funny? When I study the runes, I Ching comes up.
Yeah.
I Ching is also a rune thing. It's also a part of that ancient culture, which relates to the Druids and the Norse people. So the Asians and the Norse people are connected. Go ahead. Yeah.
You were speaking then?
Anyone else? Matthew?
Yeah.
I've had more.
Oh
no.
Why?
I don't know what just happened. Are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here. I think that Lev was talking. There must have been, I don't know what's happening with the panel. But he was talking and you were talking.
Oh, sorry. I had you guys on my Bluetooth there, and now you're not.
That's 1,000 billion times better.
This is better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to exaggerate, but much better. Yeah, much better. Don't use that Bluetooth, man. It's shit. And it'll probably stop your pineal gland from being activated, and it'll calcify you a lot faster than not using it would.
All right, on then. I thought maybe it might help. Well, if that's the case, no. I only notice number stuff and whatnot like that if I actually pay attention to it. If I don't pay attention to it, I never notice that kind of stuff. Mostly my odd happenings around with me are more physical. Actually, my odd, weird happenings are more physical and weird. You know what? I actually just this is gonna sound really weird, but this just happened the other night with I'm at my buddy's house, right? And I'm watching the house for security reasons, and he comes home late from work, and I'm passed out. And he said that when he came home, I woke up and it looked like I was in a daze. Like my eyes were open and it looked like I was in a daze. And you know how sometimes at night when you reflect a light off of animals' eyes, they have like that reddish glow to them? Well, he said I've never even seen that in a human before, but he said he saw that, kind of like what you do in a picture. He said he saw that in my eyes, that reddish, like kind of glare glow. And I looked really dazed. And then I just stared at him for a second, and then I went back to sleep. And then when I woke up, I'm like, I remember waking up, and I'm like, did he come home last night and make a bunch of noise and wake me up, or did I have a dream? Or was that like a few nights ago? And I'm like, nah, it couldn't have been last night. I wasn't sleeping that hard. But he ended up telling me about it, and I'm like, dude, that's crazy that you said that, because I've had a lot of really weird physical stuff happen to me and around me in my life. Like crazy physical stuff, like waking up in the middle of the night on a couch and the end of the couch dropping out of midair. Like where my head is on the ground, but where my feet is, like it fell back to the floor at least a good, 6 inches. And it freaked me out. I woke up the entire house because I thought somebody was playing a prank on me. Swear to God this happened. I'm not joking, like even close. I thought somebody was playing a prank on me. I woke up the entire house, pissed off the cat, pissed everybody off.
Can't hear you, Matthew.
Hey, chill out, brother. You've dropped off again. Something happened there. So listen, you can't hear you.
We lost you. Go ahead, man. Matthew, we lost you. Go ahead. You good?
My phone just sucks. Oh, I get why. I see the issue. Hold on.
It's all good.
Or
Hey,
maybe...
Tricia, have you seen anything? Have you had any signs, Tricia, like in your life? Have you had any interesting? I'm sure you must have, if you're there.
I had one the other day, actually. I don't. My son, because my son was here, he said, "Oh, that's just a coincidence." But one of my sons rung me. I've not spoke to him since sort of 2008, and he rung me. And when I looked at the date, it was the 13th, and I was born on the 13th. I was born on the Tuesday, and it was Tuesday the 13th. Now, my son says, "Oh, well, I wouldn't have looked at that," but I just noticed it. I thought, "Oh, I don't know whether that's what it is or not, but I know I just noticed that."
Or 13. 3 and 1 is 4 would be fire. Yeah, Marsian. Everything is red. Like, I think everything is in infrared. I'm not surprised that Matthew was told that because, the Anunnaki, these people of Anu, the Rothschild, the red people, they're into astrology because they know that.
Sorry.
Sorry?
That was me. Sorry. I don't know what happened there. Sorry. Carry on.
Oh, sorry. Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was me. Sorry, I just made a noise, which,
Okay.
oh my God, another one's coming.
Long story short, the reason why you should know astrology is because every chakra you have, every dimension of your body is aligned with the stars. It's a fact. You have a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. You are a literal pentagram, right? So if I'm an Anunnakian, which is simply an astrologer, and I know that triangulum constellation in Aries, where the Anu is ruled by Mars, if I do a ritual with the red chakra and I get my stones and I get my red leaves and I get a woman maybe and I do things with blood, I think you see where I'm going, then we can all be seeing things the same way. It's pretty funny. What was it? Ja Rule had a return to 50 Cent. It was called Blood in My Eye. Now, what does that really mean, right? There's more to it than just a song and they're rapping away. Yeah, those are your chakras. And he's rapping away and he's battling himself. Well, Mars is war. You see how it works? So they're perpetuating more war through astrology with the colors. So knowing your color or colors in alchemy can help you. So when she said 13, Patricia, I can do gematria. 3 and 1 is 4. 4 is fire. Fire goes to Mars or it goes to Venus because she's also Lucifer. Well, it just means light. There's good light and there's bad light. Hence your Bud Light. Don't drink that shit. Lite. I yield the floor. More thoughts.
Did that help, Patricia?
No, not really. I just don't understand it. I've noticed a few things, that's all. But maybe I'm not in tune with it as much as I think I am. But I do notice things. When it's my birthday, usually about a week to a week after my birthday, good things happen. And
what's your birthday? 13th?
13th of June.
Go ahead.
So,
Cancerian.
with that happening on the 13th, and I was actually born on a Tuesday, I just connected it. That was a good thing that my son rung me. You know what I mean? And I just connected it that way. I mean, I don't know. I could be right. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's still a learning curve for me, all this lot. I used to have dreams.
There's no right or wrong. Yeah, sorry.
I used to have dreams that used to come through that, a few days later or whatever. I go, oh, I dreamt that.
Can I say something?
No, go on.
I have this number that has been repeating forever. 1, 2, 3, 4. it's just been following me all my life, basically. But I want to tell you a strange story. I was out for a walk. This is going back a few years now. I was out for a walk with my girlfriend, and we were just talking about having a holiday. It'd be nice to go on a holiday. So as we're going for our walk with the dog, we're talking about a holiday, and I said, oh, I've got a friend who lives in Spain. When we get home, I'll contact her. I've not spoken to her for like 10 years, 5, 8, 10 years or something. When I get home, I'll contact her. Well, funnily enough, when I got home, there was a Facebook, friend request from said person. And I've not spoken to her in like so many years, man, Anyway, to cut a long story short, we ended up going on holiday there, But yeah, weird things like that. And they happen a lot, very much, often, very often. I can't say it's deja vu, but there's just some weird things that are happening,
Well, I believe that the signs that I'm seeing. Yeah, you're right, man. Like what you all just said. Like Matthew said, he's not as aware of looking. Like Patricia just said, she's not aware of it. When you start to look for things, any number you see, just very simple. Gematria is Jewish math or Jupiter's math. You just add the number with the number, and then you look that number up, and it's astrological energies, and that's the message. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's all connected. Nothing's a coincidence. Every sign you see, if you're confused. Oh, sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, with me, it's not so much that I don't. It's that whatever I'm concentrated at the time on that, for some reason, that's where my pattern abilities kind of come in. My pattern, my retroductive pattern inducing, I'm able to see things, whatever I'm focused on. So when I was into, science stuff hardcore, I started noticing around me and started getting that a lot more brought to my attention, started getting more offers of magazines from science companies, stuff like that. All of a sudden my attention got switched and I started looking into, flat earth more than science and stuff like that. And just, the general gist of flat earth and all that. Then all of a sudden I started noticing more stuff about that. It's for some reason, whatever I seem to be studied and focused on at that time in that moment, I start to notice that in my life. Like right now, my biggest studies and stuff right now are revolving around like laws of attraction and stuff. And I'm starting to notice that like ridiculously around my life now that I've never noticed before. So for me, it's just, I don't have that awesome open-minded brain that's allowing that, we're not open-minded, but that awesome brain that just allows you to notice any and every kind of, thing that you've learned about your entire life. With me, it's kind of like a one-track brain, one-track mind, but I give it my 110,000% and I, excel usually. It's just, I've only got that one track, I wish I could do more, but I can't.
That's okay. The Romans, the Vatican slaughtered the Irish people. It was a mass slaughter of the Druids. And you want to know why they killed them all? You look at the runes, your Nazis were into runes. They were into runes too. The Druids, the Hobbit movie, the stick that Jesus Christ has, the holly stick, it's those people did that stuff. The beards and the hair, why Christ has that beautiful hair they have, that's Celtic culture. It's beautiful, beautiful. So they slaughtered them, right? Because when they saw them, they saw them probably doing stuff. And they were like, but they had to pretend and play fair because they knew if they slaughtered them all right away, they would have missed the actual recipe for mind control. The recipe for mind control is to go into nature and watching people rubbing sticks together and having visions or drinking stuff from the garden and then telling you if you have an ailment, or levitating something, but they were doing stuff like this. And so the Romans killed them all everywhere, and it's all hidden in Rome, hence Ra or Om. And they're just taking the energies that we have naturally. All of them were clairvoyant. Every one of them, doesn't matter what culture they were, Japanese, they were all with nature. They each have a certain tree, the bonsai tree. Yeah, what's the bonsai about, right? The oak tree, the Druids had the oak, right? Or the holly stick, magic. What is magic? It's nature. And if you know what your herbs are, you can either poison somebody or have them have a hallucination to see their future or their past. or to maybe warn you of problems coming? Oh yeah. The Rothschilds love the Red Cross for a reason. The Red Cross Association, so your lung association, don't go there. They use that for this reason. Research this. They believed that that Red Cross protected them. Listen carefully. It is not just a symbol. They've had that Red Cross for thousands of years because they believe when they put it on something, that something's protecting them. You know what I mean? So there's something about nature in us, trees, cortex, remember, bark of tree. They don't want you to give it, Nate. They want you to eat your what? Leg of a damn horse. Now you're angry. You're a workhorse. Roar. We have horsepower. We're in a sagittal plane. No one told me about Sagittarius. What does that mean, right? Go ahead, Karen. I see you vibrating. You got something to say?
I wasn't going to say anything, but I suppose actually we're all meat, aren't we? We're all the meat.
Yeah.
Meat, eating meat.
They're eating us. That, you know what? And you know what about the politicians? You hear that they're eating, you know, I hate to say that. I don't want to be dark. I won't get too dark, but we have to go there because when you look at that behavior, it's astrology, you know, why they're eating us, right? Zodiac means ring of animals. So anything with a ring, we have to master our hoops, our hula hoops. What is this ring, the cycle that I'm in, right? The dryers have cycles. One dries, one washes. What's that about? Oh, brainwash. Your brain's a circle, right? It's round. Of course, your crown. Who's getting into the crown? Why they have tigers jumping through those fires in the circus? Circe is church, by the way. This is going to blow your mind. You have to know these things. It's very important. It's not mine. It's your information. It's meant to empower you. Lucifer means the cipher of Lu. Lu is the druid sun god for Saturn, the dark sun. Satire. Ooh, it's not evil, but if you know darkness, you can hurt people with Saturn, right? Cipher of Lu. So when the tigers are jumping through the rings of fire at your circus, that's church. That's the body of the church. That's Lucifer. Why the tiger? Kitty cat, cataholic, Catholic, the people of Leo. You're Barnum and Bailey, Barnum, unum, sanctum. That would be your Vatican Church people. They're very organized. Does that make sense? Pop culture.
Yeah. Yeah, the way you put it all together, Jay. I don't think, but I do see connections in things.
I'm trying to.
Is this how your brain works?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Is this how your brain works, though, all the time? Is this how you see everything?
Yes, I mean, I'll tell you the reason why it's happening. You know, I have not deviated from my diet. I truly believe that what you put in your temple will either stifle or it'll elevate you. It's hard to stay committed to a plant-based diet. It's hard. I get it. I know it's hard.
Yeah,
but if you,
buddy.
if you do it and you really just bite the nail on that thing, your brain power, I'm having connections every 5 seconds. And it's not because I'm smarter. I'm wired a certain way because I'm a plant. I'm a certain kind of a plant. What kind of plant am I? I have to research. What kind of plant are you, right? We're all relating to plants, and it's cool. And it's intimidating to the Vatican because your pop culture is your Pope. Papa. The mamas and the papas, music is telling you something, right? Papa Smurf. Right? Who's Gargamel? And Azrael is an actual entity. Azazel would be Satan if you Google it. You know, I mean, it's just a cartoon though, right?
Somebody put those words in today. Exactly that.
Yeah.
When I was talking about the airplane bit.
Yeah, your cartoons. Man, you know, there's zooming in our brains. You know, our brain is a planetarium of energy. and it's either going to help us or it's going to hurt us. Be careful with your underground hip hop groups, like your insane clown posse, juggalos. Yeah, that would be gestures. That would be Jesuits, and it also relates to Jesus. Jesuit and Jesus are the same word, juggalo. So when the insane clown posse come to your town, they pour soda all over you and tell you to go out and have a bunch of crazy sex and don't care about it. Just have, and they're talented rappers, not judging the talent, but are you hurting my subconscious brain? When you come to my town, are you just spraying soda on me with clown makeup? Or are you doing a ritual to me? Be careful if you're a fan. These underground rappers aren't so conscious after all. Yeah? Got to be careful. You know, Tech9, another rapper, really awesome rapper. Why does he have red and white phosphorus colors of the morning star Venus? And he's throwing up this shit for her carbon 12. They're using feminine energy. Always makes me angry because I respect the woman and she has to be used to help us. You know? We have to look into our heroes. That's hard to do. Wouldn't you all say it's hard to actually accept that, even in flat earth, right? The biggest thing that people have with this whole thing is accepting, right? That this is what it is and letting go of what you thought, right?
Yeah.
Big problem. We have to research.
We've been so programmed.
Yeah.
But some of us see it easier than others, don't we? It's obvious because otherwise everybody would have woken up.
Yeah, I mean, art means flat. You can't go to my playlist. It's not mine. Art means flat. Our Father who art in heaven in etymology is saying our Father who flat. Europeans call their apartments flats. We have flat land. My flack land? Yeah, that would be the guy who sang Nimakitapa. A famous singer, Nina Simone sang Nimakitapa. That singer, Jacques Brel, is telling you my flat land. In Belgium, he's telling you you're flat. Wow. How is it a curved? Is it a curved land, people? Can anyone on this panel tell me, is there a curved land? Maybe there is. I don't know.
No curve.
Someone help me with that one. Because there's no curvature,
no curving. No. Yes, there is curvature in hills and mountains, but there's no measurable curvature from the land from one place to another. We're on I see it as a realm. We're living on a realm.
Yep. Yeah. You got to be careful of the Jacob people. Who's Jacob Frank? Look up Jacob Frank. Very important name. He gave birth to your Red Shield people, your Rothschilds. He gave birth to Frankfurt. It means red place. Yeah? What's that about? Why is it only 12 people can get together with that astrology and destroy the earth? Whoa. Before we get together and actually have a revolution, get into astrology. First, know your sign. First, in my opinion, deal with your trauma first, then go out there and play their game and beat them at it because they're whipping our ass because of astrology. Yeah, it's way more tricky than just flat earth and ball earth. Yep. Warping our brains, eh?
Yeah, they sure is doing that. Matthew, do you have anything else to say? You've gone a bit quiet there.
Chime in. Trisha, Kung Fu, Matthew, let's go. Astral. I'm done.
Astral, you're a bit quiet today.
Have you guys ever looked into any of the science-y stuff? Or have you guys talked about it yet?
Into what?
The more science stuff, you know, gravity, blah, 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 you know, physics, stuff like that.
What, today?
Well, no, just lately. So I've missed so much, you know, lately.
No, I don't think we haven't really been down that avenue. I think it's been a bit more like spiritual and a bit more, you know, consciousness and yeah. more or less. You're going to have to catch up, Matthew.
See what I mean, though?
Do the legwork.
It's that change. People's mindsets are starting to change off of the materialistic mindset and starting to, sway more towards the spiritualistic.
It's important. You have to. It's important. Yep.
Well, I'm under the banner of, not many years ago, it was called New Age, wasn't it? And it was like, oh, you're a freak, kind of attitude for most people. But it's taking over now, more or less. I mean, people are hopping on it and believing it.
People are scared of what they don't first recognize.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like xenophobia, isn't it? I think what we need to do is test it out and verify it for yourself. If it works, great, carry on doing it, because I mean, you're not hurting anybody, are you? If you're trying, your own little, I mean, you could pinch yourself here and release endorphins in your hand, if you've got a headache, that. Simple things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a spasm in my back. It caused my injury, and a doctor worth millions of dollars told me my career is over. From seeing numerology, I kid you not, when I added my name together and got to a certain point, I found an herb that handles spasms. And it's the goddess symbol. So I'm just saying, like, when you start to open yourself and do astrology, which is what all the women were killed for, by the way, all those witches, they were all doing astrology. Oh, we lost Matthew. Hopefully come back. Yeah, it's an important thing. Jazz music gives you flat earth. Jazz relates to an orgasm. It's it. Jizz, sperm, creative energy. It's not nasty. Museum means a dome. Right. Hence, your disc is playing music. Your disc is flat, and your dome is the museum. You're walking into the building of the dome of Earth. Wow. We don't see it. We go into the museum, look at all the flat earth symbolism, arc, dome, and a disc. It's base and a ball everywhere. There's no just ball. It's always foundation and roundness. It offends me that those connections don't get made. So someone's been one off. Yeah, it's important to see.
Yeah, Matthew's just talked that his connection dropped to 3G, so he'll come back in when he can. But he did say that his phone didn't have much battery. Do you remember?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, 3 is the number of the goddess. So if we looked at that right now, there's no coincidence that his phone just did that with that number. So it's important. Everything has a value. I would look it up and be like, what does that mean? I'm just saying, that's how it works for me. Totally. Yeah. Freemasons love their numbers. And Sting has a song called Murder by Numbers. Murder by what is he saying, Sting and the Police? Murder by numbers. Right? You have a Ouija board? It's funny. It's all there, right?
Yeah, it's all there. Lev, you're back now. Do you want to chime in?
Where are we? You just said Ouija boards and it threw me off a bit.
He was talking about the death of.
Sorry, the death of what? Sorry.
The death of. Yeah, carry on. You were going to say something.
No, just asking what.
You've gone blank there. You've gone blank there, have you then? Astral, do you want to say something? You've been very quiet today, really. Astral?
Sorry, everyone's breaking up. What's going on? I can't hear anyone now.
No, Lev went quiet because he just got a mind block of what he wanted to say. But you've been very quiet today. Your thoughts on things then?
No, I mean, I've got my head in other places actually at the minute, but my head's in the book here a little bit. I'm taking notes and I'm trying to listen at the same time.
Show the book. Show the book.
Sorry?
Show the book.
What?
Can I show people how to do etymology?
No.
1 second, Jay. Astral, show the book. You've got a book there.
I've got this book from the library, right? Can you see it? It's The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation. Good book. I've just started reading it. I'm not far into it, so but yeah, it's nice. It's interesting. So I recommend people should read it. Probably. I'll give you a review when I'm done. All right. How about that?
Is that the book that came from America?
Yeah, I've got it from my library here in town, like here in Denmark, but it's actually from Wichita State University Library. And it needs to be returned there as well, apparently. Yeah.
But you've got it.
Yeah. The last time it was out, 2015.
Golly, that's not very good then, is it?
No, it's not. But I mean, in a sense, yeah, who knows why? But yeah. Good.
Okay, Dan, thanks for that.
No
Jay, what have you got up?
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, just waiting for it to change over. Yeah.
Okay, great. So here's why it's important to know astrology. So Allah is okay, that's Islam, and we're told Islam is evil. Then you find Saturn, then you find Jupiter, then you find Lucifer, then you find Jesus, okay? You have to know these words. It's so important for a lot of people who think astrology is just some mumbo jumbo, right? And when you type in Venus, you're gonna see the same gods appearing all over the place. Venus is also Lucifer. So why, right? It's not just bad, right? It's many, many things. So when you type in etymaline.com, here it is. I encourage you all to go here. Really important. Because what you can do is type in your name and you'll see how it all relates and connects to either astrology or to something that you might see outside. You'll go outside, you'll see a number that relates to either Jupiter, Saturn, the moon. It's always in our face. They don't work without us. They have to work with us, the stars. The stars made us, right? So when we're talking about religion, we have to know what those gods are. When I go to church, what version of Jupiter am I praying to? Let me say that again. What version of Jupiter am I praying to? I'm gonna tell you, there's many sides to Jay. Jay can be nice to you, or Jay can be very angry with you, right? Well, which Jay are you gonna get? You should ask, which Jay am I gonna get before I talk to you? Because I might be raw. That's why you should know, right? The fear of God. The jovial one can be angry too. Jupiter is also known to be the god of war, lightning, thunder. But what does it mean to us? We have to know our stars to balance the energies, to know what, if it's a good or a bad one. Yeah, because the Vatican is going to tell you what Saturn is, and they called it Allah. The Vatican made Islam. Santos talks about it all the time. Yeah. Who's Muhammad? A child of Abraham, apparently? He's a child of a Jewish deity. He's related. Why? Oh, but we can't talk about that. Muhammad is blah, blah. Oh, guys, really? You're mixing up your Jupiters. So, not to laugh at people about it. It's simple. Etymology. No more fighting and hating someone's belief when you're praying the same orb. You know what I'm saying? Makes sense, right? Makes sense, right? Know what you're praying to. That's it. What was that, sorry?
Yourself.
Myself? Yes.
Yourself. Yeah.
Yes. You're an important person. When you enter the church, you're entering a body. Okay? In geometry, look at the church. It's always square and then a pyramid. It takes a square and a triangle to make your cycle or your Circe or your moon goddess. Now she turns men into swine, Circe. I figured out there's many things here, metaphors. Be careful with your bacon. Be very careful with your bacon. No judgment. I'll tell you why. You have hamstrings for a reason. Ham. Ham means God. Ham gives birth to black. Egypt comes from the terms Ham, Cush. It means simply to be black. Whatever it means to you, no judgment. Cersei transforms men into pigs. 2 reasons for that. First one is temptation. Women are very sexy and powerful. Come to me, challenging you to see if you're wise, if you're learned. Oh, are you falling for my little dance? I turn you into an animal because you're living on your palate, on your stimulant, right? Or I turn you into a pig in the Chinese zodiac. Thank you, China. The pig relates to Hercules. Hercules is right next to Ursa Major. It's very simple. Ursa Major and the pig in the Chinese zodiac are one and the same. So those pigs are pieces of Ursa Major, the bear, or the swastika constellation. You can either be a pig in heaven when pigs fly. Hi, pigs do fly, by the way, in China. Or you can be a pig-headed person down here. You pig. You see how it works? You got pigment, right? Ment means the mind. You have a mind of a pig. Pig in etymology also means God. See how much time I just saved y'all? A whole bunch of reading. So then you say I'm awesome. Oh, my animals are awesome. If I have a farm, now I know that my pig is that. My bull is Taurus. My cows, my chickens are some flying constellation. I know now how to tend to my zodiac ring of animals. Who's the Lord of the Ring? You are, Karen, Astral, Patricia, Kung Fu. Right?
Yeah, we're masters of our own destiny, really.
Ringmaster. What does that mean, right? To master.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mastering your ring. All of it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's funny. You know that ballroom is flat earth? Ball is a dome. Room, it means flat. Square dancing. I'll never get tired of this. I'll never get tired of doing this to people who think this earth is just this ball dribbling around. Square dance is flat, square. What is that? Square is flat, dance. The dance would also be a dome. It's the same word. Dome with a foundation. So when you're drying your hair, the hair dryer is a dome with a flat line. The electric chair, yeah, it's a dome with that line. Right. It's pretty obvious. It's all there. Television is Taurus and Venus. That's why we have to know, right? What does it mean, though? You have to get into your stars, man. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's always good to know who you are. Otherwise, if you don't know who you are, how is anybody else going to? You need to
Toys
know who you
R
are
Us
as a person.
to shut down. Yeah, if we don't know, Toys R Us to shut down. What is Toys R Us but Taurus? And it's a giraffe.
What did you say? They've just shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Toys R Us.
In America, yeah, they're done.
Christmas.
That's serious. Some serious shit going down there, man. If that's closed, what? I've not heard that.
Yeah, man, they're closing down. Apparently. Who knows what it means? Maybe they're building a new toy for us. Toy Story, which is Taurus.
You didn't know that, Astral? Yeah, because if you don't watch the news, then you don't know, do you?
Exactly. I follow a different kind of news. Well, I haven't heard, so is it a new thing or what?
Yeah, it was recent.
Christmas,
It's recent. They're folding. You know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, and we should all chime in and change the topic about corporations. I personally feel that these Freemasons, these people with the corporations, they're also going to have to get tired of this shit because they can't keep living like this with lies.
Tired of making money, you mean? I don't think that's going to happen, Jay.
Not making money, but
I'd like it to happen, but I think, it's going to take a long time before we get things how we would like them to be. And let's put it like that.
Yep.
You know,
You're right.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. We are the biggest threat here. We're the biggest threat to this entity that doesn't like us to know what our body parts mean. You know what I'm saying? It's very important to know what the body parts mean. And be careful with sorcerers, you know? Circe and Minerva, your nervous system. Deja vu is Venus is in your deja vu. We have to know. Yeah.
They want, don't they?
What's that?
They want us all confused, don't they?
You broke up there. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Sorry.
One is confused.
I said they want us confused.
Oh, they want, yes, they do. Yep. Yes, that's what the biggest thing here, the reason why they made a ball Earth. Copernicus is Capricorn, by the way. Copernicus and Capricorn are the same word. Capricorn is simply the inverted goat of Baphomet. Baphomet means bathed in wisdom. But, if I'm a Satanist and I take the goat, inverted goat, and I sacrifice people's lives to that goat will help me do bad things too. So Copernicus, why would he give himself the name Copernicus, right? There's no coincidence. Those names create a vibration. It's like me saying J, Taurian, Russell. I just said Taurus, so that's setting something off, right? But you can't know that because you have to just get a damn legal name and go out there and be a sinner and eat your turkey biscuit, and you get sick and you get a job. Wow. It's a new day. Isn't that right, people in the panel?
Yes, at least there's some hope with a new day.
Oh, hip hop means flat. Shit. Hip hop. Hip means flat. Hop means a dome. I did a presentation on that. Even rap music is telling you it's a bass and a ball. Drum and bass. Bass is not moving. It's heavy. And treble is light. The dome. Isn't that cool? I'd rather learn like that. I want to learn creatively and spiritually, not just materially, right? Everything's literal. No imagination whatsoever. Pretty depressing, right?
Sometimes it's fun to be literal.
Yeah, it is.
How are you feeling? Well,
totally.
It's a series of nerve endings from my fingertips sending electrical brain impulses. How are you feeling?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
It's a good point.
Let's be very literal. I mean, be very literal. It's funny, man. It is very funny.
No, but he's absolutely right. What he just said. Okay, so actually, I just had an aha moment because I teach in my modern dance class. I say, hey, touch your skin. Just touch your skin today and love your skin while you're moving. Because just touching the self, people don't do that all day. They only pat down to find the wallet. You pat down to find your remote. You pat down to find your phone. All of it gives you cancer. But you don't pat yourself, right?
When you hug and when you touch skins, you release oxytocin, which is good for us. So we should hug more and touch. Yeah.
Yes.
I yield the floor.
No, I just got the camera to go over to you, and now you're yielding the floor. The panel's so slow tonight. Really slow.
No, you good. You good. In the word panel hides the word pan. We can keep going. Pan is one of the moons of Saturn. So you want to know these moons or Nords. Nordic cross, right? North. So what does that mean, right? When we're panning things out, panoramic, Rama, Brahma, your head is Pan. Pan is in you. Pan's flute is you. That's how this works, right? So it doesn't matter where I am. I can take a word and take you to astrology and show how it relates to you and how your version would be far different from mine. But if we're talking about the stars, then we can make a difference. It's written in the stars, isn't it? They say that it's written in the stars. Hollywood celebrities love being stars.
Have you heard of that story about Lewis Carroll then? That it's written in the stars? No. Have you heard it?
No, tell me.
Well, apparently, if you look up at the constellation, the stories that he's telling, each star is a line of the story, you know. So like once upon a time, there was da-da-da, and so on and so on. I don't know exactly what, but I mean, a lot of his poems are based upon the stars, and he was, you know, going through the stars to write the story, you know, which is kind of a good inspiration, I suppose, a source of somewhere to start, you know. If you're looking for ideas and what have you, why not look up at the night sky?
Yeah. Well, you know why your Columbuses love to navigate, because they love the Navajos and the Navagrahas. Nava is 9. 9 also relates to the prima mobile ether. So when you're going up levels in the chakras, if you want to ascend and get out of this bubble and spiritually, you have to know your Navas or your Noves, so you can navigate through the stars. All your astronomers, all the people who put us in this hell, they knew the information I'm telling you right now, and they knew it better than me. They knew it to a T. The T is for Taurus. T minus in counting. Track and field, by the way, is also flat Earth. Track, flat, field, dome, flat, it all connects. Now, when I go fly up and I look down at the track and field, it's a torus field, but flat. Torus fields make rings. So our sports are telling us that the Star Spangled Banner, Banner, Hulk Hogan, Banner, that name, why Banner?
Can I speak?
Cut me off. Yeah, go ahead.
Does anyone know the story, the history behind that song, the Star Spangled Banner? Do you know the story behind it? And
no, go ahead. Do you have it?
I found out yesterday, actually, funnily enough. Yeah, and it's kind of a nice story, but I think it would be better justified if you saw it yourselves, you know. If you were to see it yourself, and then, because I'd only ruin it anyway. But it's a good story. I'll see if I can find a link, and I'll drop it in the chat. All right, I'll be right back. I've got to find it.
Sure. There he goes. Hey, come forward, Tricia. Y'all want to chime in? Sorry, Karen. Pardon me.
That's the guy said. There he goes. Lev, do you want to say something now? Lev. Lev.
I'm trying to think.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh, wait a minute. Then Patricia. Patricia wants to say something. We'll come back to you, Lev. Go on, Patricia.
Sorry, Lev. It's like I was waiting for you to talk, and then anyway. I just wanted to talk about numerology. When I was younger, I had a book, numerology book, and it said you write your name and then you do the numbers, and then there's a question that you ask. Well, I only asked 2 questions, and I sort of forgot about them. And then years later, I thought, oh, them questions, they just popped up in my head, and I thought they're true. Because the first one was, how many times, if any, will I get married? And it said twice. Well, I've been married twice. Obviously, I was divorced in between the first and the second. You know, I'm not technically still married to him. And the other one was, how many children, if any, shall I have? And it said 6, 5 boys, 1 girl, and that's exactly what I had. So I'm like, I do believe in that sort of thing. I don't know how it actually works in everyday life, but I suppose you learn something. You know, how do I actually apply it to my life?
Add the numbers together. Add them together. And then I sent you a link called angelnumbers.com. I'll show the whole, actually, let me go to the actual website because I have it here for other chat room as well. Very good place to go because it will help you. So here it is. It's called Angel Numbers, Jones Sacred Scribes. And I'll walk you through it a little bit. So basically what you do is this. If you see any numbers, right, that, you notice a pattern, you go here. Let's say you see the number 95. You click on it. Boom. It takes you to 95. It talks about its properties, universal spiritual laws. The number 5 pops up. So you keep going down, right? And here's where it gets really interesting. So 95, it equals this here. 5 again. So now you go to number 5, and then it's where it gets really juicy. Here is where astrology comes in. It takes you to these key words. It shows you all the positive attributes. Your Freemasons know this stuff, by the way. The Illuminati, they know all this shit. And there you go. Your ruler is Mars. Now, is that a coincidence? I was talking about Mars earlier. So I'm serious. It's no coincidence, y'all. I am very connected. I just chose a random number and showed you that these things are listening to us, right? So it's really beautiful. I encourage people to just don't even think about how to apply it. Even if you don't get it, oh, that's a weird number. Add it up. And if it doesn't really apply to you, it does apply to you, because the number, I shit you not, it'll relate to something in your chart. It has to. All the numbers.
That's what
relate.
Matt, if you know Matt Jerome, Matt Jerome, it's all about adding the numbers up. So it doesn't matter what it is. 4 and 5 is 9. It's not 4 and 5, it's 9. Or
right.
361 is 3 plus 9 plus 1.
Yep. That's how the universe works. The universe speaks like that. It speaks through this pattern. So when you see the pattern, right, the actual wisdom you get is in not knowing, actually, because I can't explain to you, right? I can't explain how to apply my way of doing it. I just know that I'm more aware now. So when I see these patterns, I go right home right away. I go to that website, and every time I do that, something amazing happens, and it gets more intense. I learn more. I get more signs, which means someone's or things are present. Michael Jackson said it. You are not alone. We are not alone. This is to encourage you, not to discourage you, to see astrology as something that's just sort of, whoa, it actually is important. It's why your starburst candy, starburst. I used to love that crap. Bursting my star, huh? Maybe it's doing something more than just giving me poison. Yes, another goddess has joined us. Oh, she's muted her mic.
Oh, trouble.
Hey,
hello.
It's Trouble.
You want to say hi? No?
Just getting on. It's slow, isn't it? Trouble.
It's all right.
Hello.
It happens.
Oh, hello.
Hello, my darling.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
We're talking about... Oh, gosh, go ahead.
Cool. The panel is so slow. Anyway, I've put the camera onto you, Trouble. Have you been listening in the chat room? I think you have.
Yes, I've been listening in the chat room. It's good convo.
Yeah, she asked to join.
Good convo. Hello there, Trouble.
Oh, Astral's back.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, numerology.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Go on, then you must have something to say, Trouble.
What are your thoughts on it, Trouble? Actually, Trouble, before we get into anything else, have you had any occurrences with numbers and signs? What's your experience, Bill? I'm sure you've seen something in your life.
Yeah, heaps. I see numbers everywhere. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I've started seeing I've started seeing 2, 3, and 4 everywhere. There's like sets of 2, sets of 3, sets of 4. Hang on, I've just got to fix my sound up. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you guys talk for a minute. I've just got to set my sound up. I can hear myself twice.
Hey, can I?
Okay, you sound okay to us.
Yeah, can I just tell you
Go on,
quickly
Astral.
about the Star Spangled Banner, if you don't know. Anyway, they were at war. It's the war in Baltimore. Right? I wrote it down because it's embedded, the thing that I actually saw. It was very nice, the story about it, but it's embedded in like 6 hours of whatever I was watching, you know. But anyway, Baltimore. They're at war. This is in 1812, and the British were pounding them, firing cannon upon cannon all night long, and they said, we're not going to surrender, keep the flag flying, like, you know. And it was getting bashed, and there was smoke and flames, and next morning the flag was still flying, like, you know. And but the story behind it all is like very, very, it's kind of moving in a way, like, you know, keep the flag flying, keep the flag. I mean, they're getting blasted, but they keep the flag flying, like, you know. And sure enough, the following day the flag is still flying. So the guy that was trying to negotiate for them, what's he called? Francis Scott Key, yeah. He was negotiating for them. He wrote the poem. He wrote a poem on a piece of paper that, you know, when he got released, he was kept as a prisoner for a little bit. And that is the inspiration to the Star Spangled Banner.
Thank you, man.
Taken as the national anthem only in 1931. But they have, yeah, it's been around for a while.
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm coughing away.
I'm here now. I've got it all sorted.
Go for it.
Astral, go for it.
Thank you, Astral. Thank you.
I see things from a bit of a different view because I had the strokes, so I had the memory wipe. So I've just re-downloaded a lot of things, so I have it all mixed together, and I don't really know a lot about anything, but a lot of mixed info. But the 432 is a number that I've been seeing everywhere. Like, there's this duality thing, so you see opposites everywhere, and then you see sets of 3 everywhere. And what was I going to say? I've seen heaps of synchronization in with God or nature or whatever it is. And so I've just been learning about how the body works. And I see a lot of patterns that seem similar to other things. So there's this strong theme about us being stars and that. And then you look into that, you find out the number of man is 432. And 432 is a musical note A. And it's also, when you get the speed of light, you times it by 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in a day, you come out with 432 squared. And 432 is everywhere. It's in the distance of the moon to the sun. It's just everywhere. And so it's like the information, it comes to us in sound, and then that can be transferred into geometry patterns, and then you can transfer that into maths. And so it's like just the same info over and over again. I was thinking the other day, black holes, they just sound like our brains. Not black holes, the Big Bang. It sounds like our brain, because that's what thought is. Our brain sits in complete darkness. And so I guess when it has a thought, that creates a sound, and that creates a light. And then thought needs darkness, needs space to expand in. So that to me just sounds like outer space. And because I've been trying to picture what a brain healing looks like, because everybody says to me, you know, picture what you're going to be like at the end, but what does a brain look like? And then I see all these photos of our brain and it looking exactly like outer space. And so I just think, well, maybe thought lives out there, consciousness or whatever the heck it is. I don't know. And the other thing was, like, they always say that we're stars, and an inside-out star is a black hole, and a black hole holds the data of everything that enters it in its rim. And then when you look at the patterns, that's the cell of our body, that's our memory. Every cell in our body is like a black hole. I know from losing movement that as it's come back, I know I'm doing things wrong. Like yesterday I was trying to swim, and it's the first time I've was trying to breathe while I'm swimming, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so hard. I can swim down one end of the pool, but lifting my head and breathing, and it felt wrong. Every now and then I got it right and it felt right, but while it was wrong, it felt wrong. I knew I was doing it wrong. And so the memories stored of that movement is stored in my body somewhere. And then that's where I go on water, because water stores memory. I'm starting to learn about that. It's like a big giant computer thing, and we're mostly made of water. Well, I don't know if I got off track then.
No, you're good. Actually, can I dance with you a bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said 4, 3, and 2, right?
Well, 4, 3, 2. It's like a set of 3 numbers. See, that's a set of 3. You see
Yeah.
sets of 3 numbers.
But check it out.
Hertz.
Check it out. It equals 9. So can you see my screen? I'm gonna walk through your number and show you how it works. So that actually equals 9 in gematria. So I click on 9. Now we scroll down and we see karma, spiritual enlightenment, light working, light workers, empathy, inner wisdom, signs from your angels, soul mission. So these are all positive energies. Now when we go to the actual number 9, we're gonna find more about it. So here's the actual number 9 in astrology relates to what? So I'll walk through it for you. You have karma, spiritual enlightenment again, spiritual awakening, learning to say no. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Astral, didn't we say to say no? Don't go to work? So this is astrology. We would say that all the time. Don't go to work, say no. And it relates to all the planets, my lovely. So you are being communicated to by all the planets, all 9. Hence why I told you about Christopher Columbus and his navigation, because nove is 9. Now the Hermit is tarot. Let's see what you might need to look into if you'd like to. So 9 is the Hermit. We find again Virgo, Aquarius. I'm not sure if any of those things relate to you. The rune Jera. Watch this. This is now going into the Norse culture. See how cool this is? Now we're in Jera, all from 9. What does it relate to? This is a time of hard work, reaping rewards for past efforts. Year, time, harvest, life cycle, right? There goes the I Ching for Kung Fu. This is a different culture showing you we're 1, right? And what do you find? Your color is light blue. And then here's your herb, rosemary. Does that mean anything to you? I don't know. Your gemstone, cornelian, would be yellow for corn. That's the sun. And your tree is the oak. So in just under, I don't know how much time, I pretty much showed you, like, I lost my window. Sorry, y'all, if you can't see me. But yeah, I'm showing you, here I am, that it's about diversity. So when you simplify it and put it down to the 1 number, trouble, you go to that website, go to it, and just read it for yourself, and don't even think about it, and just get whatever it's telling you to get. I kid you not, more things. Yeah, go ahead.
I get all the number 9 stuff.
Yep.
But do you see the duality? Like there's metric and there's imperial. Like where's 12 gone? All of a sudden the number 12 isn't around because we've only got numbers 1 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
So have we got like computer and a nature thing competing against each other, trying to give out the same info? And that's why 111, you can only see that on a digital clock. You can't see 111 on a normal hand clock. That just didn't exist back in those days. I'm only seeing it now because it's all digital. So it's, yeah, I don't know what that means.
My office number is 111 here at university. I see it all. You know, I know that's a very popular number because 111 is 3, and the triangle, the trinity, the 3 is fire. Now that relates to all of us because the quad cities in America, quad means 4. You have quad thighs. Your numerology is in your leg. Leg in etymology means God, logos. So I have 2 quads, that would be 8, figure 8. So now I can figure out what that might mean, right?
Yeah.
Tricep and bicep. Go ahead, sorry, pardon me.
I was going to say, I love all this wordplay, all these words that they're using. It's like, oh my God, right in front of us.
I know, right? Yeah, and it's so cool. It's so cool, and it makes it fun. It makes you want to get up in the morning, and if you're having a rough day, if you know a thing or two, you can enjoy your day at work. You can go to your cigarettes and say, oh, American spirit means that, and you know, you can imagine things and not just think about making money and hating your job. You can love your environment more.
Yes. There's heaps to be learned at the moment. It's quite exciting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's cool. Like, there's so many things about the body that are just mind-blowing. Like, why does my thalamus mean a bedroom, a vault, wedding. Why? It means this part of my head can store stuff. Storage. But we're going to the... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's all about memory and about storing memory, retrieving memories, getting rid of memories, thinking and not thinking.
Yes. Yes. Hence your storage wars, your reality TV show. Why are they having storage? None of this is coincidental. It's all about our brain. All these shows are about a specific consciousness that the brain does.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what mind control does. That's why people can't listen to Flat Earth. They can't hear it.
To NASA now. If I hear NASA, I'm like, oh my God, I just gets out and stuff I start writing is like...
Well, let's break down NASA's name. It's very important to know where NASA's name came from. In Hebrew, Nahash means the serpent. You see where I'm going? They don't play around with these words. Nahash means the evil serpent. Now, we see what they're doing, right? So, they didn't know that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm listening. It's good.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's very serious because before they became what they are, they had to make the name. Because in the Bible, at first, there was the word. So when I say the word abracadabra, abra means to open. I'm just saying April. Avril in French means to open. Ave Maria.
I thought abracadabra was I create what I speak.
Yeah, also means to open. Amen, open. You're opening. It opens.
Abre la ventana, open the window in Spanish.
There you go. Abra. Ave, same word, open. So the words are containers that open a new world for you or close it. Hence your curse words. Curse. Listen, they cursed your words. Who made devil's advocate? Etymology says the Vatican Church made devil's advocate. There is no angel advocate.
Well, actually,
so if I'm being...
I was just saying all that religious stuff, because I'm not very religious, so I don't know a lot about it. I see a lot of it now in technology. I see easily how we could create some of these entities by storing memories in crystals or in computers, which is silicon, because silicon is the second most abundant thing on the planet, and everything's made from silicon, which kind of blew me away. And so a crystal, so it's all sort of the same thing, maybe just faster working ones or something. Or that we could easily have, like you heard of the crystal skulls? There's supposed to be 10 of them, and they're supposed to hold 10,000 years worth of information. Well, I can imagine that now. With a computer, you could easily put all that information in there. So if we got all these lost souls stuck in a computer memory skull thing that think they're actually alive running around and don't know that they're just holograms that don't have an organic body and can never get another organic body. And is that what all these satanic stuff is doing? Are they just, they've got that tech and they've been replacing themselves with new bodies over and over again?
Well, to add to that, in the Norse map of the flat Earth, yes, the Norse people have a flat Earth with a tree and rings. One of the rings is called the dishonorable dead. One of the dimensions is called the Nephilim. The Norse people had Nephilim for giants before the Jews did, actually, and they're called the dishonorable dead. So I'm asking myself, like when you said trouble, what does that mean, right? Does that mean, right, that maybe those crystal skulls in history, a lot of things happen, and in the happenings, there are other souls that get lost and sent somewhere and stored. Sure, totally, yep.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I can sort of imagine heaven and hell and sort of, but not not the fiery place and not the god sitting on a throne.
Right. Yeah, that's all bullshit. That's them having fun with you saying, yeah, this is what it looks like. They don't know what it looks like because they can't ascend. They hate the human race because we are the ones that can ascend and go up somewhere good. The reason why they want you to eat McDonald's and stay down here is because they can't go up there.
Yes, and if we all
That's why
they've got nothing.
That's why
And
they're
we
little
But I think we probably created them with the technology, so we're half responsible for whatever they
Well,
are.
the universe made them for a reason. I mean, I don't know why they were created. They were created to exist with themselves. They need to get out of here, but we have to repel them. Because technology, this is about everyone in the chat room too. Tech comes from tet. In French, tet is your head. Hence your tetrahedron, symbol of fire. Quad cities, four is fire. Hitler called himself the Führer, fire. Fire also means a dome. So when the fire of Prometheus or the Statue of Liberty, that's a dome. Ah, very clever, these Freemasons. It's a dome over the disk of consciousness. And so now what they do is they take those terms and they get men who know them, but you don't. And they're just brilliant and you're dumb as hell. Like, yeah, go! And they hate you. Yeah! And they're yelling and screaming these, yeah! You have no idea.
Yeah, and it's like the Buddhists have that fire, earth, air, and water.
Yep.
And then I was trying to put those into themes that I could understand. And it was like, oh, okay, a star would be the fire. So that's where the information is. And then it comes down through the air and then becomes, and gets the patterns from the air, gets information through, which would be space, air. And then it turns into water. It becomes a physical thing. And then the information's still in the water. And then it hits the earth. And then the earth is a star. So it's just this round cycle thing.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, there's a lot of dancing going on there. You know why Vivaldi made the Four Seasons? Vivaldi, the name Vivaldi means Venus. Four seasons, there are four keys to the earth, and there are four gospels.
Can I just say something? Who's on the person on the end?
I think it's Angel.
Angel.
Is that Angel?
Is it?
What's up, man?
Angel.
Hi,
Hello,
Angel.
Good morning. I didn't want to interrupt. I just popped
No,
in.
you
Hi,
did.
Angel. Sneaking
We
in
were
the back
waiting
door
for you,
like
man.
that.
We're waiting for you. We're filling in all this time for you to come in. So I'm gonna wrap it up for what I have to say. But yeah, Trouble. Yeah, totally. Those four seasons, the four energies, the four keys. All of these composers, like Johann Sebastian, Sabat is Saturn. Why is he taking that title? So when they take those titles, they embody the energy because they know they have the organs of the stars. And they're conducting us.
Yeah, it's all very deep. But it's really interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it gives you lots to think about. And like I said, and it's fractal patterns, and then you just start seeing them everywhere. And it's like, yes, I'm getting drowned in information. I can see it everywhere.
In the Black Panther, there's this blue, what is this stone? It's called, I say it wrong. I should know the name of it. It's a throat chakra blue stone. Okay? Now, why are they using this stone in that movie as a precious stone? Blue, the bull, the red bull of your Taurus field. There's something there. It's meant to help you to say or to put forth your destiny. Or someone's got a foot in your mouth. You ever heard that? A foot in your mouth? Your feet are Pisces. Are you selfish? You see how it works? Soul of the foot.
Words are great. All the answers to everything you want are in words.
Yes, Trouble. Yes. Say that again loud.
I said all the answers to everything you want are in words. Just in the patterns, it's all hidden in the words.
Yes, it is.
Because it's all fractal patterns. and because they don't seem to be able to invent a new thing, and we probably don't either. We can just create from what's here around us.
Yep.
But they stick to the fractal pattern.
Yes, the URL and USA is an anagram for Ursa Major, which means the she bear. Now, the Nazis had a symbol of a bear claw. The Nazis have a symbol of the bear claw. Yeah, it's called black water. They call themselves Schazwasser, black water, and they love the claw of the bear. Why? Isn't bear claw a donut too? Bear claw? Right. Can't make this shit up. It's about her. He's the baker. She's mama, the oven. She cooks the food of consciousness. And so they take this stuff and they hide it and mix it around and their little logos, and they mess us all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, can we say hello to you? You've got a new icon.
Please,
I looked up and I wondered, who's that on the panel? Angel? Angel.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you've got a new icon.
Well, I'm logged in under a different account. The other, I could get into a long story, but it's not worth it.
So how are you?
Doing all right.
Oh, because I tell you what, I was really hoping you were going to come in on, because obviously, and I know that maybe you don't want to do the blackboard bit, but you were so getting into the different levels of the pyramids last week and why they were there, and then you sold your house.
Yes, I did. Quite interesting timing, but life happens when it happens.
Oh, the pyramid stuff was interesting.
How did it go, man? How did it go?
You sold
well.
his house.
I no longer own my house.
Okay.
Hey, and he's smiling.
That must be a good thing, yes, he's smiling.
And I know that maybe you don't want to get, like you say, get your blackboard out, but would you explain why it's important these pyramids are at different levels?
Well,
because you were stuck
actually
to it, and I was like, yeah.
The bases of the pyramids are at different levels, but the internal guts, the functional area, what they like to call the ceremonial chambers, are really all reaction, like condensation chambers, and they are, it's like if you have a lab set up and you got a Bunsen beaker and this and that, but all the levels of where all the since water finds its level, are all going to be at one elevation. And that is something that they don't really point out, because they're not looking at it as a system. But if you draw each of the pyramids and then put them at the respective elevations, at what ground level is for each of them, and you just look at the three of them sitting next to each other, they key to each other. In fact, I think they key to the niches in the Queen's Chamber, how there are, the steps there. They may actually key to that, because they're trying to show by communicating that the reaction will go this direction, because, I think it's because they manufactured the whole thing. Electricity will find the path of least resistance. So they manufactured the whole setup, just like you would a Lord Kelvin drip generator, or a Van de Graaff generator, or a Wimshurst generator. The whole thing is engineered to capture the electricity, the static electricity. And it's just done on a very large scale, but it can be scaled down and done in a classroom size experiment. I don't think you're going to be able to use the exact same environment. You could do it using, pieces of copper and, capacitors and things that do the same function, but do it using electronics instead of using organics. Here they're using nature to as the vehicle to move the energy. I think it's a really good, if nothing else, like I say, it'll make a really pretty waterfall.
Waterfall.
Right. You take water in a pool and you electrolyze it. You break it into its two respective gases. You take the hydrogen and you burn it back up at the top. Poof, you have water. In a way, you can say it's a water pump because you have now made water at a higher elevation, and then the water runs down through the system. Now, that's basically what the pyramid does in its guts. But one of the byproducts of burning the water together is that you're going to get steam. You're going to get some, you're going to get water vapor. You're going to, and that water vapor is going to pick up this ambient static electricity. And, that static electricity wants to go somewhere. Nature wants it to go somewhere. And the guts of the Great Pyramid, the primary one, they made it so that the elevation of the water within the structure is lower than the elevation of the water in the pool around the structure. And then the pools around each of the other two structures are between the two. So you're coaxing the electricity, which wants to get out. All electricity wants is the path of least resistance. It wants to get to one of two things. It either wants to short to ground, or it wants to short back up to the pool of energy it came from.
Right. Were the pyramids built before the water, or they put in the water?
Were they built before the water? Like before God said, "Let there be water"?
No, were they built before the Nile got to them, if you know what I mean, for some reason? Like, were they in the ground before the water was there, or were they built in the water?
I do feel that the Nile River itself did not come to the base of the pyramids, but they would have come to the base of the Sphinx, and that the water was piped in or piped up into the pool around the outside of the pyramid. The whole area was engineered, but the Nile River itself today sits, I think they say 78 miles or something like that from the pyramid. But if you look at the delta, the whole, take Google Earth and back out a bit, you can see that there's a whole area there that's much, the greenery, the delta. And the Nile is saying, they say that it is working its way like 8 inches a year or something like that. And if you back it up several thousand years, it'll be right at the foot of the pyramid. However, that aside, the Nile itself, prior to us putting the Aswan Dam and the other 2 or 3 dams that are within the Nile River, which can do flood control, nature would flood that whole area every year, all the way up to, I believe, the pause of the Sphinx. So the water could have been gotten there during one of the floods and then just maintained in the pool. The water really doesn't go anywhere. It's broken and burnt and broken and burnt and broken and burnt. It is a continuous cycle. I do believe there is some flow through the system, but that flow isn't I don't think it's like a raging river flow. I think it's more like a stream flow. And it's just there because you have to have the flow of nature. Everything has to be shorted together, but you're tricking it. The pressures where it's moving, the electricity wants to go one direction, and you're trapping it in 2 areas, because I think they're going with a yin and a yang type energy, because there's some energy that wants to short to ground, just like if somebody's walking across the room and they're dragging their feet, when they touch the doorknob, they now short to the doorknob. But now there's somebody else who's right behind them. When they touch that person, they're going to short to that person, so they can go zap, zap, back and forth, and just stand there going back and forth. Although actually, as soon as they short to the person, that person would then have to walk around again to get recharged up. But they're playing with the system. And I think that when we set this up in a lab, we may find out something new or more about water than the average person knows. And it could be one of those things. It's like I was saying, that somebody who works at a heavy water enrichment plant, or somebody that works at a heavy water nuclear power plant says, oh yeah, every now and then we have that problem. We just have to like off vent the gas and do stuff like that because, well, you know, it's what we do. And instead of saying, hey, you know, this could be utilized, maybe we want to, you know, I think they were much more in tune with nature, and I don't know what they were doing. It's kind of like if you've ever seen that movie Contact, where they have the blueprints for some device that, you know, in the movie they allude to time travel or space travel or whatever they alluded to. But, you know, they have the blueprints. I have the blueprints. They're sitting on the Nazca lines. We have a working, well, I believe a working model, a past working model, which shows the scarring and kind of tolerances that needed to be right there in the Giza Plateau. And we have the blueprints. I would like to build it and see what it does. And it ain't no tomb. That's as, you know, like I said, if nothing else, it's a really cool waterfall. It also could just be heavy water enrichment, but I think there's a whole lot more to it. I really, really do.
So you're saying it's a water treatment then, really?
Water treatment, like as in water purification?
Do you think that's what it is then?
No, I don't think that's what it is, because the way it's set up, they're not tapping the water. They're breaking it and burning it back together, and breaking it and burning it back together, which I think would really more be for enrichment, which is, I don't know what you know about water, but if you were to take a normal glass of water and you were to separate it out, 1 out of like 8,000 of the droplets of water is a drop of heavy water. And after a lot of time of electrolysis, or, you know, forklift batteries, things like that, that are always going through water, you get more and more and a higher percentage of heavy water. And if you do that for hundreds of years, or, you know, half a decade or something like that, you're going to get heavy water. So it could be heavy water enrichment, but that's not purification, really. That's a different different thing. You're not purifying uranium. you're separating its elements, and you're taking the element that you want.
Could they be storing something in the water, like energy of some sort, or?
Well, I don't. Again, this is where I'd say let's build it and see what it does. But you're working with the surface of the pyramid, which is acting like a large Van de Graaff generator. It does that to this very day. We alleviate the buildup of that annoying static electricity that they found annoying and static electricity by putting that wooden structure on the top of it, which vents that static electricity off into the, off into the ether right now today. If we were to take that wooden structure off, and we'd have to do a lot of repair to what we've damaged of the structure, we could see what it does. But I think they're tapping that static electricity through the system, and or they're utilizing that static electricity. They're either tapping it, collecting it, or they're utilizing it. I don't know. I can see
a lot of underground technology, maybe.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
It could be running a lot of underground technology. Don't know about. Powering it?
I guess so. I mean, I think they're using more of nature than, they're just utilizing. I mean, static electricity is nature.
Angel,
weight.
I've got a question for you.
Yes.
That thing they've got on top, I mean, okay, it looks like an aerial, doesn't it? Some sort of, you know.
It's a 4-post antenna with one center shaft.
Why haven't they got them on the others though? Why is it only on the one?
Well,
if they're all giving off energy, or they all have static, or they all have the same, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
And energy.
If you look at the top of the third pyramid, the neutral, it actually comes up to a fairly even point. It's an average step, and you know, I have a video on my playlist of somebody who climbed that one as well. The center pyramid actually would be your antenna, or in this case, your positive side, because it is grounded to the atmosphere or atmosplane, whatever you want to refer to it as, at a higher elevation, where the Giza Pyramid, the Great Giza Pyramid, the one everyone talks about, it is neutered from venting the static electricity up into the ether because it doesn't have the top, and it's neutered from venting the static electricity down to ground because of the 35th row, which is a large ring around the entire structure. It's 50 some inches. You know, it's would be comparable to if you went to a, you know, you're working in an electrical thing where they have that breaker bar that comes up. You know, all it has to do is, in their case, needs to be more than 12 feet because that's how far was it? 225,000 volts can jump. But if you're just dealing with minor static electricity, you just need a larger gap than the static electricity can jump, and or when the static electricity achieves a high enough potential to jump that gap, it will jump that gap. Nature will jump it. But you take that static electricity, concentrate it into the Queen's chamber, and then you make it jump through the 5-inch wall instead.
Can I just ask, did you say static electricity jumps 12 feet?
No. Here in the States, the power that we use, we have what are called highways. They're high voltage power lines that run above ground on cables. And you need to stay 11.2 feet away from them. I say 12 feet because it's a nice rounder number. But the power that they run through there, I believe, is 220,000 volts because they step it up a whole lot. And that will jump 12 feet. If you were to take a pole and stick it up there, as soon as you got 12, like within 12 feet of it, that electricity would use that pole and your body to your feet as the path of least resistance to ground, and you will be a fried duck.
Does that answer it for you then, Trouble?
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, it was just when you said 12, it was like, oh, there's that number again, 12. Yeah.
No, they were working with the 5-inch gap between the Queen's chamber, what they call the Queen's chamber, and the conduit on the other side of the Queen's chamber, which is why when you look at, if you can find them older photos before they drilled the hole out, there's a crack in the wall. But it's not really a crack, it's an arc. And if you really looked at it, it probably goes into the designs of the trees that Karen liked so much. The arcing,
electric tree.
right? Because electricity does work in that whole spiral pattern, the Fibonacci sequence. The nature just does that. You can't really get away from it. It's only we, the people, that go in straight lines and want things to be strict and perfect. Hang on a moment.
That's great info. I love it when he comes on and talks.
Yeah, just getting in the flow there, and the door knocks.
I can't believe that in this time,
Right.
like 2018, we know so much about everything and so little about the pyramids still.
Well, you're told in school that the pyramids are tombs, and you're given a really cool story. And as long as you You know, you don't question the details of the story that don't make sense. I like to piss people off when they come at me and they're like an expert on the pyramid. And I say, oh, well then why this? And oh, why that? And they have to come up. It's like watching people fabricate things with space and NASA. They just have to mentally, well, this is what I was taught, so I have to. I'm like, at what point can you not comprehend that you were lied to? Let me give you something else that seems to make a whole lot more sense and in my opinion, hold a whole lot more water. And I think with time, could actually be a teaching tool as opposed to a teaching of fabled history tool. And I also, one of the problems is, and Masons may know this, Templars, you know, Priories, all these type people may know that the pyramids utilized electricity, static electricity. And I believe that static electricity, the use of micro amounts of power, small amounts of power, had been utilized for electroplating things all throughout history. But because the money changers wanted to protect their interest and so that they didn't have to worry about counterfeiting, they chose to keep this knowledge out of the normal people's radar, off the radar. And when it started to get onto people's radar, when Faraday was out there playing with glass rods and people started making Lord Kelvin drift generators and stuff like that, they went with Benjamin Franklin to bring it into the light. They came up with this fable story of how he was playing with lightning bolts. You go try this at home and, hey, you're not going to live to tell about it. So we just have to trust that Benjamin Franklin's story, because heck, if I want to try to duplicate it. But, and the whole focus was on the macro amounts, making engines move and things like that, as opposed to working with micro amounts. Colloidal silver was off the radar. Although I do believe that colloidal silver was holy water up until about the time electricity became commonplace. I also think if you look at really old houses over there in the UK, you'll have them where the roofs are copper. People who have it don't know why, but that makes a perfect antenna. And all you have to do is short that to ground. Well, you don't short it, you bring it down to ground, and the difference between the two, that's your electricity. You can use it to fill Leyden jars, trickle amounts of electricity. Nowadays, we love trickle amounts of electricity. You have a solar panel putting out trickle amounts of electricity all day long. It stores to a battery, and then you use it when you want to use it. But you can't really use it off the solar panel. Well, nowadays you can, but realistically, you didn't have to use it off the solar panel because they had batteries. They were just getting trickle amounts of power from nature. And that would be perfect for making colloidal silver, for electroplating things. You have time, you can do it for free. It just takes a whole lot of patience.
Can I say something, Angel?
Sure.
I like all the thoughts and everything. It's brilliant, but something I can't get over is you have to remember this was the biggest building, the biggest structure known to man for many years.
I don't believe that to be totally true, because I believe the Bosnian pyramid to be 700 and some feet tall and to be taller. I believe that there are 800 and some feet tall pyramids in China to be taller. So while we are told that this was the largest structure, that's because number one, China wasn't explored because it's been, for 800 some years and off limits or something like that. But it is not the largest. There are larger man-made structures on the surface of the earth, and I do not believe it. I do believe it to be large, very large, and I do believe it to be very large up until today's current standards, where we started working with metal and steel and have constructed things larger. But where history tells us that was the largest one up until we made the Sears Tower or something like that, whatever it was, that is not true because there are larger ones that are older in China, in Bosnia, and I think there's one in Russia, but I can't swear to it. But I know in China they have several that are 800 feet tall.
Yeah, there's monoliths all over the place. Not
Sorry, Trouble, can I just say something before you talk? When you're not talking, can you mute? Because your microphone's making this whirling noise on the Hangout. But when you're talking, talk. But just when you're not, mute.
Me?
No,
Yep, no
Trouble. But anyway, what were you going to say, darling?
Am I buzzing as well? Because I forget sometimes to switch mine
No,
off.
it's Trouble. Sorry, what were you going to say, Trouble? Trouble.
I was just saying that there's lots of megaliths all over the planet that almost put the pyramids to shame. And heaps of pyramids, I'm finding them everywhere, like China's covered in them. And there's even one in Australia. So, yeah, I'm starting to find it. They're turning up. I'll mute.
UK has at least 2, which it has more, I'm sure, but it definitely has 2 up the road from me.
Well, if any of them have internal configurations, anything like that, you know, they always like to force into you that it was some tomb and spin them off as tombs. But when you look at them as a piece of machinery or as a scientific lab setup, I think there'll be a lot more answers. But we didn't really have machines that large. What was it? The printing press was considered large for its time. And then the engine that went in the Titanic was the largest of its time at the time. I mean, and here this thing is huge. And, you know, I think we are infants of this world as, I forget the guy, he says, you know, we are a civilization with amnesia. I do believe this, and I do believe some of it is engineered amnesia, intentionally engineered amnesia. They don't want us to know the true history. I could go into how I think they're trying to change time, and how if we actually read time via the stars, as opposed to being told what the time is, that we would have a much better chance of, or have a much better chance of not being lied to if we let nature tell us the time. But we like our.
Is this to do with the Mandela effect?
What, the time bit? No, I think the Mandela effect, I do believe, is because they like to change their story, and then when something happens, they just say it again, and they will blatantly lie. I do think it is a worldwide thing. It's pointed out. I think it was actually Jaron that did a video pointing out how if SpaceX has to be in on exactly the bigger picture, because they were able to edit a live video and have it manipulated. The manipulated version is what's stored. They are being allowed to do extra cover up. So I don't think that Eli can completely have his head in the sand. He may be told it's for a bigger picture. He may be told, hey, you know, we have to do this for the better of this and better of that. He may not be told why, but he is in on the game. He can't be oblivious to it. He can't be. And I've seen where our own news will say, no, this didn't happen. No, this didn't happen. No. Okay, well, it did. Well, that's part of the Mandela effect too, is when you're told, no, it didn't happen. And then, you know, somebody comes and says, oh, 5 years ago, we did this. Well, 2 years ago, I was told it didn't happen. Therefore, that kind of falls into the Mandela effect. Where we are lied to about when somebody dies, and then they really die, and like, okay, well, he really died. The part.
Do you remember the bit about Nelson Mandela actually dying before he did? Like, when you were younger, he died, and then everybody was upset and did praise to him, and then he became president so many years later.
At that time in my life, I was more worried about the new compiling code that was being released. The world was oblivious to me. We lived on a ball. You know, there's a lot of things. Many things have changed in the past couple of years, but at that time I was oblivious to Mandela, things like that. But I do know that I have seen in my life where the news does lie about things blatantly, outright, and later they change the story. It's fun to watch when you know some things are the truth, to watch how they lie. You can hear them, you know, even when they're reading it, they're like, I have to read that. How can I say this? This is a lie. Because you're a good actor and we pay you. Haven't you seen the movie They Live? You get to wear one of the cool watches.
Yeah, and also Harsh Truth Engineer has sort of reminded us that we brought up the Abigail, not the blonde one, the other one. Did she have ginger hair? I can't remember now. That one, a dark-haired one. Lots of us remember her dying or being reported to be dead, and yet she's not. She's alive. So that's a Mandela.
I remember Mandela dying. That was my memory, is that he died in prison, and then the next minute, the happy life, all sorts of amazing things, and I'm like, I thought he died. But you can see how they could create all this kind of stuff. It could easily be done with technology, and these new computers. That's what I'm going to talk about. Like they say that we're like quantum computers. We have the computing capacity of over 7 billion people, but they've got these new DNA computers where it can go down. So a normal computer goes down each pathway one at a time and comes back with an answer, and then compares it all and picks the winning one as it eliminates them. A quantum computer can go down all the pathways at the same time and come back instantly with an answer, whereas these other ones go down all the pathways but then create worlds and connect to all the other entities and it's like this huge, so it can start to predict the future. And I think that's what they've put into some computer program that's able to predict the future and perhaps even give them visual images of it. That's how advanced, like, you know, like mirror on the wall sort of thing. And so I do think that I've heard one theme that they've gone ahead in time or gone back in time and tried to change the past, but the patterns of nature overrides it and someone else takes the place of the person they tried to kill. So they've given up, and that was all the Philadelphia experiment or something. And so they've given up doing that, and now they're trying to change the future, sort of, or predict the future and then make it happen, sort of thing. I don't know. Not really sure what they're doing with Mandela. I yield the floor.
That comes from Dojo, that does. I yield the floor. Jay, did you want to say something?
May I?
Yeah, you may.
Thank you, Angel. So I'm going to share my screen again and go to etymology because there's some things that are very important for us to see about us. So, okay, here we go. Can y'all see this right here?
Yeah.
So the thalamus is in your brain, okay? You have an optic thalamus, and it means receptacle of a flower, but it relates to the chamber, and it relates to a queen. Now, these words would not be together if they did not relate in etymology. They wouldn't be there. Now, when you go to your delta and your deltoid bone, we see the deltoid bone relates to the delta, right? So this is the body being a temple. These things wouldn't be together. And then what is also really cool is when you type in the Sphinx, you also get your brain that pops up. So the Sphinx relates to the brain, and I'm wondering why, right? Because I know we have metal array pyramids in our brain. So then I was like, all right, what if I type in brain and then the pyramid together? And of course, you're going to find it as one connected. So you see the brain and the pyramid are here doing a dance. So now I look at myself in the mirror, and then I look at mind control, and I look at why it's so important for people to get into my temple, my temple. My brain is a beautiful symbol that seems to be mysteriously built today. And they keep saying that, you know, Solomon's temple, they build people up in Freemasonry. They build them up and they break them down and they decompartmentalize my pyramids. So literally, my brain is structured in a way where you can rearrange my bricks. Let me say that again. When I miss my shot in basketball, they call it a brick in the ghetto. They're not dumb. They also use little crates when they have no rims, because poor people understand nature, and when they're desperate, they become geniuses because the crate is the earth that they're using for their ghetto rim. That's who we are. It's called the Cosmo Crates. The earth is a cube. The ghetto people are telling us that. That's why they throw their sneakers up too, because they know what's up is ether. And those shoes, yeah, those shoes are Sheol, the same word. That's our word. It's not just a Hebrew word. That's our word. When I throw my feet up, I'm throwing the soul of my Pisces, my Jesus fish, for those who are no longer here. Those are the people in the ghetto that we think are so savage. But you see, when you're suffering, you have to hear nature because ain't nobody else gonna give you anything, right? They know what pain is and they tell us the truth. So I'm gonna leave it with this. In etymology, I showed, it's very important. I respect the work of Angel. I respect the detail. I respect the passion. But there's something about the body where there's something unique, and it seems to influence the military. The phalanges bone means a military division. That should put a fire in everyone's body. Like, doesn't matter if you're fat, weak, ugly, pretty, you relate to a warrior. Now, what's hurting us today? We see insecurity, depression, medication, getting into my temple, breaking my bricks down. I'm shooting bricks. The ghetto people are very smart.
So Jay, when you hear pyramids, when like Angel talks about pyramids, those are the pyramids you see, the ones in the brain. That's what comes to you, is what's going on in your brain.
Yes, it's a consciousness. What shape right now do we always see in the Illuminati? Okay, why is Jay-Z doing this stuff? It's not a game. The Ouija board, okay, I'm having an aha moment. The Ouija board, we did this, and Jehovah's doing that to you on album covers, giving you your hip and your hop, right? They use geometry because the brain, the thought, is what makes things happen. The dome is one with our head. The cortex means bark of a tree. When you kill a tree, you're killing a part of your brain. Why they are chemtrailing and nature can't give us our cortex. That's why the Druids got wiped out. People of the oak.
Okay, just saying, right. So that's your feeling about them. Yeah. Angels is changed a little bit over the years to what he thought a couple of years ago. He's slowly changed a bit of his. I just want to ask Trouble and Astral, Lev and Patricia, if she's there, what they think the pyramids are. Just Trouble. Start with Trouble.
What do I think the pyramids are?
Yeah, what?
I think they're some sort of energy conductor. I don't know what kind. I did think for a little while that they were healing centers, but I think that's pretty unlikely. I think you'd probably want to fit more people in there. So yeah, I think they're creating energy of some sort. And what for? The only thing I can think of now is the underground technology that we don't know about. I'm not really sure. Yeah. I have no idea what they're doing because, I mean, we have this Gimpy pyramid over here, and although you can't find it anymore, you can find the stones on a church, and they're all different shapes and interlocking, and it's just the bottom 2 foot of this church. But we've also, I went on the train down past what they call the Glass House Mountains, and there's one of these pyramids, just a hill covered in trees, and it's just on the side of the road, and it's like, oh my God, that's a pyramid. And then above it is this thing that they say is a looks like a big giant gorilla, and they have these things they call the min lights come out of its eyes. And I'm starting to think, I wonder if that's just a giant building in the shape of a gorilla. And yeah, I don't know. Like, my imagination just goes off, so I have no idea what they're up to. Anyway,
Oh, thanks for that. I kind of felt a bit more like that's how I thought they were, like treatment places and vibes and energy. And now I've changed my mind. But Astral, what do you think they are then?
Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. I've been in them. I find them very interesting. You know, I've been looking at them for years and years. Puzzle. It's a puzzle wrapped in a mystery, isn't it? But I think the more I look at the pyramids and what have you, that I seem to believe that it's some sort of a code for us. You know, it's some sort of a puzzle that we've got to try and figure out, because there's so much involvement. You know, just too many things. Like Angel tonight with water and stuff. You know, yeah. I've just seen so many
Angel,
different aspects and different reasons why they were built, you know, and I'm still out on that. I haven't made up my mind yet. Probably never will. But I think in some ways, something about a code, you know, because there's way too many coincidences and things, especially to do with the numbers, you know, measurements. It's got a meter in it. It's got a foot in it. It's got, you know, all of these measurements. This is measurements that you can find on the pyramid that, yeah, I mean, from when exactly? Thousands and thousands of years ago. How old is a meter? That was a French invention.
I'd like, if I may interject, to point out that you can find the meter and you can find the foot, which kind of should tell us that the meter and the foot have been a unit of measurement for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's very old, isn't it? The meter's not an old measurement. It's a new French measurement, but if you find it in the pyramids, then and they're that old.
That's kind of what we were told, is that it was a French measurement. I remember it coming around in the 70s when I was in school. We were supposed to adopt it. It was the new thing, blah, blah, blah. And before that, it was discovered,
I'm talking about the original meter. The original meter is a French concoction, as far as I remember.
From the 1500s or something.
Yeah, whenever it was. The Science Society decided that they needed to have a standard measurement world over, didn't they?
Right, and they did the same thing with the liter. They did the same thing with a, what are the three? Volume was the liter, and then weight is the, I can't remember. The kilogram.
Kilograms,
right.
Yeah.
And they had 10 weights, all kept in some museum somewhere, and then one of them off in a separate place. And that this is so they could do their weights and standards. And then they found out when they measured them all, like a decade later, that one or two of them had actually changed in their weight, which made them scratch in their heads, which is why today they use a device which is, or a number of carbon atoms, a volume of unit, which is the number of carbon atoms, because they hope that carbon doesn't actually change its weight. And that is now what is, to my understanding, what is the standard for the kilogram is X number of carbon atoms, which is something like 22 billion or something like that. But either way. But yeah, they came out with the meter, and they told us it was a new thing that they wanted to develop because they wanted to standardize on stuff. But I think the meter's been around for a very long time, because the meter, if you were to take, well, this is again where I kind of scratch my head, because my understanding of how I assumed they came about it, but the unit of is still the same. But I'm going to tell you how I assumed they came about it is because when I was in my globe thing, the way we do radians, we have degrees, which are 360 degrees in a circle, but we also have radians, which are 400 radians in a circle. If you use that measurement of unit of measurement, 1/4 of the radian hence the distance from the North Pole to the equator, would be 100 or 10,000 kilometers or something like that, 10,000 kilometers, which if you were to do the whole thing, which would be 40, which is a unit, which would be in radians. However, in the past year, I've come to learn that while the unit of measurement is still a division between the North Pole, the center, and the equator, the average of where the sun and moon rotate in their pathways, that there is still the same distance. I think they say it's actually 10,008 kilometers, if I understand correctly, is the number they like to throw out there. But I think it's probably more like 10,000 to the dime, because I think the people who made it were perfect. And using that same loop, which is the center of where our sun and moon go around, that is also a division. That is a division of 365, that's in degrees, times 360 degrees times 365, 222, which has a prime number hidden in there. And when you multiply that out, that's the number of feet around the circumference of the elliptic, the circle that we call the equator.
Can I ask?
And yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but so we've always had two different maths, kind of maths.
No.
So,
I think the meter's been there forever, even though we kind of re-announced it, because it's used to calculate things. It's used to calculate things, and because we're getting into our current day technology where we have airplanes and we have communication back and forth between people, and we have bombs that can hit like a feather on the other side of the world without missing, and avoiding ducks on the way. But that they needed to utilize some of this heavier math, and to do that and to get their calculations right, they needed to whip the meter back out of their butt. I do think that the one for temperature, Celsius, which actually revolves around water. You notice how everything actually kind of revolves around water. Technically, 1 liter, the weight should be 1 kilogram of water at room temperature, should be equivalent. It's not good enough for like weights and measurements though, but that should have been, back in the, when you're weighing the carcass of a deer or something, how many grams is it or how many kilograms is it? It was good enough back in those days. But anyway.
Amarok in the chat room, he said that Egyptians had a meter.
Yeah.
Well, I do believe.
And a foot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I see in the metric thing is, like one is a base 12 system and one's like a base 10 or base 9, but you can't, like you can halve 10 and you can quarter it, but you can't third it. When you put it into third, you end up in decimals recurring. So it's better to do some maths in some language with the 12 base and some maths in the modern. But if I
heard, sorry to interrupt, I heard once we did a base 15, which when you take your fingers, our digits are broken down 3 times, aren't they? So one hand has actually got 515 on it, as a way of counting and stuff and working things out.
I have to step out for 5 minutes. I'll be back.
Hey, I've got to go to bed.
Okay. You've got to go to bed too. Yeah, we've been going for nearly 3 hours now. I just wondered, is Lev or Patricia there to answer that? Ask them what they think the pyramids are for.
I'm here.
Lev, Patricia, yeah. What's your thoughts?
I don't really know, to be honest, but it's fascinating finding out.
What? Because it keeps changing, you mean?
You what, sorry?
Because it keeps changing.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
information.
I don't know anything about everything, so it's just for me. It's just, you know, I did think it was a healing thing, but I don't know. I don't if unless we lived there at that particular time, we don't really know anything, do we? We're just guessing, you know, and just finding out. It's a good topic to think of.
Yeah, we are guessing a little bit, I suppose, because we don't seem to find the machinery or anything that made them. Thank you, Patricia. Lev, are you there? Levkungfu. Has Lev dropped off to sleep? Lev? You might have gone to sleep. Because it is nearly 12 o'clock here. I know that Angel says he might pop back. Do you want to come back, or we've been going for now? It's a good time to stop a hangout at 3 hours. Yeah, does everybody unmute and say what you think? Guys, unmute. Yeah, was everybody happy that
I'm good, Karen.
What did you say?
Everyone
What did you
else.
say?
It's been interesting.
Oh, I said that we've been going for like nearly 3 hours now. I know that Angel said he'd step back, but 3 hours is a good time on a hangout.
Oh yeah, no, it was great, really good stuff. So I'm good. Yeah.
Yep. I'm back now. Sorry, dog just was barking.
That's okay. Well,
I can
thanks
talk all
very
day
much,
about
everybody.
this stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Thanks
Before we
everybody
go-
for listening. Oh yeah, go on.
I was just going to ask, have you heard about the new contracting and expanding Earth theory, where the Earth might actually get bigger and get smaller, and that's how the water could be rising and shrinking, as well as the land.
Interesting.
I have thoughts of that myself.
Why not?
And,
Yeah.
And another one getting around that the Earth might, the Moon might be a reflection of Earth, and if it is, therefore it shows that there's more land than just what we know. There's a lot more land. Those two things are interesting. They're coming out at the moment. I'd leave you with that one.
Yeah, we sort of touched that bit about the moon. You know, we just cut it's too. The sun, for instance, we've looked at maybe that has the same thing, but it's too bright for us to see the craters. But yeah, we've touched that subject with the moon. Does anybody want to say anything? It might be a case of another hangout trouble.
Yeah, there's just so much information out to learn about at the moment. There's good stuff, not just all the corruption. Once you get past that, yeah, it's exciting to learn about what we might feel, how our brains work, and how our bodies work. And the other thing I've noticed, have you ever noticed all the famous people seem to know sacred geometry?
Yes.
Whether they're writers, I mean, even Enid Blyton, she has the famous 5 and the secret 7. So it's like the famous 5 senses and the secret 7 orifices that absorb these information. And yeah, and she has the magic wishing tree, and it has moon face and and the saucepan man, which from my area of the world is Orion's belt. You just see the saucepan, and that's what we call it. And yeah, so it's like all these famous people, they knew sacred geometry. Even in that painting of Jesus with all the dudes at the table, that's all people can break it down as sacred geometry. So yeah, it's like everybody famous knows this information, and the rest of us haven't got a bloody clue.
Golden mean, sacred geometry, the golden
Very
mean.
important to know.
Yeah, so anyway, sorry, that was all I wanted to say. I'll see you all later. Have a good sleep for those of you that are going to bed. It's still early over here.
Well, we'll say goodbye on. We usually say goodbye on the after hangout, so you can stay for that trouble. Has everybody finished then? Does anybody else want to say anything?
Can we say we're dancers at some point?
Well, if I say good night and then you end on dancers. So,
Sure.
yeah, again, thank you to everybody in the chat room. It's been a nice flow of people, and a big mwah and a big flat earth hug to you. Thank you to everybody on the panel. Matthew, Trouble, Astral, Jay, Patricia, Levkungfu, and Angel. So thanks very much to everybody here. And go on then, Jay. Let me just put the camera on you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. The pressure is on. Okay, are we all unmuted? Are we all unmuted? Trouble? Unmute. Okay, good. Trouble? Unmute. One, two, three. We are dancers.
Love you all.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good night from us.